do coming into it. And now, however, starting all over, that's going to be a dropped Celeste.
I gotta say, Suijay, though, with the slick moves, he goes in, sidesteps the core collapse that he definitely saw coming, and then they were able to pick up that kill. Now Cole comes in, stuns and stuns, but I just don't think it's gonna hold, not against this Saw. There's just not enough damage in the back line, and Rekt, yeah, they know it. They're gonna have to try to dodge out of this one. There's the roll, but Mixi's ready for it. Suri strike for the reposition.
Ooh.
He's not able to clean it up. Cole's coming down low. We have no globals, but Suijay's going in. Cole, that's not where you want to stun right there starting, but hey, they will trade it out. Fine, no problem. Starting all over, he cannot chase this. Not against this. Not like this. It is coming down to the wire of those health bars.
Oh, Solar Storm! Mixi is down!
Pawn's actually now too far forward as well. That's going to be another with the Heliogenesis. That's actually the counter ace.
What a play from Phoenix Reborn. I was in complete agreement with you. I thought for sure that they were just sticking around too long. They were too far forward. Mixi was going to clean them up with that forward barrage. But the Heliogenesis able to come out, that extended range, doing just enough. And then a snipe from the Solar Storm to pick up the kill onto Mixi. And I'm not really sure why Pawn the Original was still that far forward after all was said and done. I think he was trying to just get like a last minute kill, but just too aggressive.
Celeste is actually going to get back up on this one. She's already chunked down Hammer's Kinetic, and now Mixi, he's in a bad spot. Finally, that core collapse will actually yield some results. We still don't have an X-Retsu for Suijay, and Pawn, well, he's just going to turn tail and run on this one. 10 kills to 5, and 2 aces up the sleeves here of Hammer's Kinetic. Could they actually have Pawn's number on this Saw?
They very well could. One thing I do want to point out about Pawn the Original Saw, you may be wondering why you haven't seen that ultimate come out. He hasn't yet to put a level into it. Sitting at level 7, he's had the opportunity for it twice, but he actually is not using it. And the reasoning is because when you are a full weapon Saw, at higher ranks in the game, you actually do less damage when you pop that ult than if you were just attacking normally. It's really effective if you're Crystal, not so much on weapon.
Yeah, it changes your attack speed too much of a degree, right?
Yeah, it lowers the attack speed and it gives you extra Crystal on the attack. Yeah, you do it in an AoE, but the attack speed decrease is so much that when you're playing as a weapon, it is statistically lower damage at high level, late in the game.
Right, now, so keep that in mind here, guys. We're not still seeing anything. You just put that level 8 into that roadie run, so it's all ready to go. Now, Rekt has been very busy with his excess cash since we're up 10-5 and about 700 gold or so. There are now multiple scout traps being deployed in bushes, in and around areas, looking to keep tabs on that Taka and keep tabs on this gold miner as well.
Absolutely. Right now, Mixi is going to be trying to do as much damage as he can, but starting all over actually soaks up a pretty good amount. Cole the Meek doing immense damage. Here comes the Heliogenesis.
Yeah, and that's good. Core collapse there on top of Pawn. Big damage numbers on top of him, but the collapse is going to reverse on top of Celeste, and now Cole is on the wrong side of this engage. He doesn't actually trigger the aggro from the turret, but he does trigger those shots from Mixi, and now we are looking. They find Rekt just way too late. He is going to prevent the ace, but still, that's a nice 2-kill sweep there from Hammers.
That death from above out of Mixi was massive. It looked like that was going to be another fight going the way of Phoenix Reborn until the death from above came out. It caught 2 members in it, and even with an infusion active on Cole the Meek, it was still a fight victory for Kinetic, and now they're going to go ahead and pick themselves up a gold mine to get this gold actually in their favor, unless it gets stolen.
Well, that's going to be a root, but Pawn don't care about root now. He is going to get that gold mine, and he is now making a hasty exit, but Mixi not really going to be having the same kind of luck. Has nothing to target lock, and he can't go over that wall, whereas we do got roots and stuns, and that is a big combo of this right here between that Celeste and Lance in order to get those kills. Where is the last Cole the Meek? Does not find Suijay. He goes right back to the lane, though, and he's going to start pushing this one up. Wasn't a steal, but it is 2 more kills, and that's going to be putting a little bit more oomph in the step here at Reborn.
Yeah, and now they can push in onto this turret as well. They have a large wave, and Suijay cannot clear this out as just a roam Taka. So that's going to be the turret, and just like that, even with losing out on the gold mine, the gold lead is still in favor of Phoenix Reborn.
12-7, I'll give them the kill lead for sure on top of that as well. And it's still, I mean, it's still anybody's game here, Bacon. Like 7 kills, that's what, 5 between them and 1,500 gold. Anybody gets an ace, especially with the Kraken coming up, you could see some wild swings still.
Yeah, definitely. The infusions are going to start playing an even larger role than typical because of the fact that not everyone is going to be able to have them. Cole the Meek, his is about to run out. He's only has the Sorrow Blade as far as damage is concerned, whereas Pon the Original, he's already picked up now the Sorrow Blade and a Bone Saw, and we have a fight.
Yeah, Suijay is going to be the first target because he's getting chunked out. Now you have that Kaku ready to go. He has some blocks on top of that as well. There's a death from above. They're looking for Rekt, but Rekt has a roll and they have no globals to chase that down. Suijay is going to get spotted out, and that is going to be the end of the aggression. So the teams will bounce off each other, but it definitely looked better for Hammer's Kinetic in that round. And Pon, he's level 10. As you said, there's absolutely nothing in that ult. And now Cole, he's going to be coming in. He's just buying time at this point.
Yeah, with Pon the Original on the Saw, I do feel like we need to see some war treads coming out very soon from the side of Kinetic if they want to have a chance at winning these fights, because otherwise what we just saw there is going to happen constantly. There's so much mobility between Rekt and Cole the Meek that they can get out of fights, and Pon the Original just simply cannot keep up.
And neither can afford barraging Mixi. He's going to be very much dependent upon the repositions to get better angles. But, you know, unless you have that lock on, Cole the Meek can go through walls. We got Rekt. He can go through those walls. The only person you really have a chance at is starting all over. And, well, Suijay, he's going to do a U-turn and says, nope, not dealing with that. But this could actually be now the re-engage from Reborn. They got the angle. They're looking for it. And they find Pon. Stun, and he is out. That is it. Deleted right off the map. And now Suijay, he's going to be the next target, because he is just not going to be able to put up the numbers here. The reposition, it's enough. They are able to bring down Rekt, and that is actually Mixi going 3v1, 3v2, 2v1.
Oh my goodness.
They lose out the Taka, but Mixi, will he get it? One more hit? He will! Is that the counter ace? He lives! Enough regeneration, just one tick is enough. He is the sole survivor of this skirmish, and he's taking a turret in victory.
What an incredible play by Mixi. Pon the Original was deleted at the very start of that fight. He didn't get anything off, and somehow in that 2v3 situation, Mixi and Sweet Generous, mostly Mixi, able to get the kills needed to secure an ace and pick up that second turret. Kraken has just spawned, and this game is going to either any team right now. No one has a solid lead. The gold has swung back over in favor of Hammer's Kinetic by just about 1,000, and this is just absolutely insane how close these teams actually are. And I've said it before, there's the fact that the teams go so one-sided back and forth is actually a sign of them being incredibly close in skill.
Well, Sweetjay's going to be cutting this one close. He is not hitting those crucibles. If he went down with all those abilities, it would have been massacre, but it's the counter, and now Mixi, he's got to go one-on-one with Cole, and Cole says no, he shuts him down. The counter ace is once more a TSM X member. This is the only survivor. The sibling rivalry is amazing, but Cole, he will stand victorious, and now he is pushing for victory. If he can get that turret at that clutch zone, we are setting ourselves up very nicely for Kraken.
Yeah, he should be able to open up this base. Ace buffed minion wave, a large one at that. Even though the respawns are coming through, he's actually going to back off, playing this safely. The minions, are they going to be able to finish? It's just Taka, and the turret goes down regardless. So he's not able to stop those minions pushing in. And now Cole the Meek able to just go back down to the jungle shop, top himself up, and it's everyone on the side of Phoenix Reborn is ready for a fight, with the exception of Starting Liver did have an infusion, and here we go. They want this fight.
Yeah, he did get that block out. Now he's trying to spin up. Koldemeek and Rex, they're kind of in the middle of all this. Sweden is playing on the side as the Shepherd, and, well, he's looking for the damage. He is surviving a heck of a long time. The X-Retzer's not enough. That's going to be right through. Starting all over, takes the double. Nobody drops from Phoenix Reborn. And who needs a Kraken? They've already cracked that clutch turret right there. The choke point is going right down this hatch, and now Koldemeek is leading the way. This is looking like a victory from Phoenix Reborn.
That's definitely going to be the victory. The respawns are not going to come through in time, and Phoenix Reborn, despite getting absolutely demolished in game number 1, they come back strong in game 2, and in game 3, the closest of the 3 games, they managed to take the victory here over Hammers Kinetic. That last fight was absolutely chaotic. It looked like everyone got dropped so incredibly low, and then finally, starting all over, was able to just throw out that Solar Storm after getting his Broken Myth stacked up, and the damage from that just deleted what was left of the health of Hammers Kinetic, and that was enough to secure the victory for Phoenix Reborn.
Well, kudos to them. There was a lot of talk in chats about Koldemeek and Mixie, you know, how they ended up on these teams, but I gotta say, just fantastic matches from each side. These new rosters just got so shuffled around, but all the big names, it's really fun to see them now all playing on different banners, and I gotta say, this could have went either way. It really did come down to the wire.
Yeah, it absolutely did. Just such a close game. A couple of really clutch plays at the end. I mean, there was an ace for Hammers Kinetic shortly before just a minute or two before the game was over. Like, that's how close this game was. But congratulations to Phoenix Reborn picking up the 2 points in the Evil 8. Before we throw it back to the desk, just want to remind everyone that with Amazon coins, you get more ice in Vainglory because they're discounted up to 25% every day. Go to Amazon.com/Vainglory to get Amazon coins now. And now we'll go ahead, send it back to our analyst desk, Humanist and Action Jackson.
Man, that series was incredible. It really delivered, I have to admit. That last game just seemed like either Mixie or Koldemeek would barely survive at the end.
Last man standing in each fight, quite often.
If Mixie didn't jump in the last fight, I honestly feel like they would have won that game because he was starting to ramp up so hard.
The sadness in this guy's heart.
I wanted it. But Mixie is actually going to be our MVP. I feel like during that series, he really did perform to an incredible standard.
Yep.
And barring the one mistake at the end, pretty much flawless performance.
Yeah, it's not like how many mistakes you happen, it's when you make the mistake sometimes, but overall, Mixie, phenomenal series from him.
All right, well, special treat for you guys. Gangstar's Sirius are currently playing up against Sweet and Sour, and we're going to be hopping directly into the game with myself and Humanist casting, so you don't miss any more than you absolutely need to. Let's hop on across. You can see at the moment, looks like Sweet and Sour are doing a pretty good job. Can they find the turret? Looks like they pick it up. That's going to be a nice hook from Grasscun coming across, though. Oh, boy. That's going to be a nice pickup for Gangstar Sirius, though. They're keeping this fight going. Fuji wants to find the damage onto Grasscun. It could be an ace here. Gangstar Sirius, right as we get back into the game, get back into the game.
My goodness. We get to jump right into this action. And, of course, you know, Sirius getting the better of that fight. Excited to really see this roster, both of these teams actually in play, but specifically, I'm really excited to see what Sirius can accomplish with this new roster here.
Let's talk about the rosters real quick, because obviously we didn't have a pregame for this series. People might not know about some of the roster swaps that have happened. Sweet and Sour is composed of Juan Hernand, Wizard Sibs, and Grasscun. And on the flip side, Gangstar Sirius, Fuji, Mac Daddy B, and Pajama Drama.
That's right.
Actually, Lone Delphi is playing, so one of their subs is playing right now. Hang on, we've got a fight kicking off, though. Pajama already very low. Death from above coming across, trying to zone out Sweet and Sour with a force to cord, brings in Delphi. He's not going to be able to get out of there. Great glimmer shots coming out of Caspro. Fuji gets annihilated. It's a reverse ace coming out from Sweet and Sour right after they go down.
Yeah, no, I mean, Sweet and Sour, these guys have been around for a while, albeit under different banners. But now, coming in here, I think they're poised to actually make a very strong name for themselves in this summer season. I mean, Wizardsit, Juan Hernandez, Grasspoon, I mean, these are names that we've heard before, and I'm excited to see them having some early success here in this game. Across the board, you know, with Sirius having Pajama Drama, I think this is a very interesting guy that people should keep their eyes on as the scene progresses. Now, he was actually just a few months ago, he had his first competitive experience in the CSL over in Boston. Then, this guy, he played in the amateur series and was on the winning team to clear that whole series out. So this guy rising up from the bottom and now here in the Evil 8.
Yeah, and this is something that I think a lot of newcomers are going to be trying to do through the Challenger Series. They can make their way into the Evil 8 if they perform, if they show up in a big way on new teams, or if they get picked up by established organizations. Obviously, there's been some big success stories with that regard. That's another immense payout collected for Sweet and Sour. If we look at the gold, they are sitting about 2,500 in the lead, so doing quite a nice job for themselves. Gangstar's by no means out of this, though. They've got Fuji on that Sky, something that can really catapult into a very strong position in the late game.
Oh, definitely can. You know, you have that huge damage potential out of Fuji. Lone Delphi as well. If he locks onto a target and they're not able to deal with him, he's going to mow them down. So it comes down to the control. It comes down to positioning once again, as it does so often in these matchups here. We come on a little bit late into this game, so it's interesting to kind of see how these things are progressing, playing out.
All right, well, that's going to be a gauntlet coming down. Pajama Drama trying to start off the fight, but look at that. Walks right into the active camo mist. Huge damage. Delphi hooked in by the forced accord. You can see Sweet and Sour really trying to push their advantage right now. Delphi could be going down here. The reflex block buys a little bit of time. Fuji coming to help him out. Hernandez is very low. Keep going for this fight, and you could be in a bad position. Oh, Surrey Strike! Not quite doing enough damage. He's looking for that glimmer shot onto Delphi, but cannot find it. Both of the carries living on a sliver of health.
My goodness, does it get much closer than that right there? Juan Hernandez, he wanted that kill bad. Lone Delphi would have been happy if he had tried to chase and he could kite him backwards. But yeah, at the end, a very even trade back and forth from both teams. Pajama Drama, got to be careful on those aggressive type plays that you're going to walk into the active camo like that, you're going to get blown up. Something
To note, though, is that Lone Delphi survived for an extremely long time by himself. He didn't even go down in that fight. That was without, for the most part, Peel coming out of Pajama Drama. The fact that he's able to survive for so long when two people are trying to chase him down is indicative of the fact that he's doing a very good job with positioning in these fights. If it keeps going this way, as he gets more damage, it could be very scary for Sweet and Sour.
Yeah, definitely. Well, he's starting to build into that crit right now. Across the board, a little bit, different story when you look at like how Juan Hernandez decided to build out. So he's got that Sorrow Blade, the breaking point. With the Tyrant's Monocle, the damage output is actually insane on this guy. He's got the fresh infusion, so Sweet and Sour in a very good place to take a fight and could just blow this game wide open. Could be game ending if it's terrible for Sirius.
I just thought of the best pun ever. Let's see if I get a chance to use it. Fuji hooked in, though. Look at the damage he's taking already. Actually, Surrey Strike's back out, just barely able to make some distance here. You can see on the flip side, though, Lone Delphi getting hunted down. That's going to be the gauntlet coming across. Hernandez can't keep chasing. The Juan shot, one kill, picking up a kill. Very nice work. I got to use it right away.
You did it.
2 kills for Sweet and Sour. What a fight.
What a fight indeed.
I just got a thumbs up from production.
Just go. I think Sweet and Sour just win off the back of that one right there. You can be the official spokesperson for these guys. Just ridiculous. Well done, sir. Sweet and Sour on point, Jackson on point as well. With that, they move over. They're going to start to secure this crack, and there's nothing that Sirius can do to contest this. With Fuji down, just respawning. Pajama Drama. Actually, it was Pajama. Was it Pajama Drama?
Pajama Drama, Pajama Drama.
I mean, either way, I think he said Pajama.
I'm from England, so Pajama. I think
yeah,
is
that's
the way
what
I
we
would
said.
say.
But
Right.
I feel like he wanted Pajama. I have to talk with that guy.
All right, we'll have to see what he prefers. I mean, Pajama, then you can do things with jam.
Yeah.
I mean, I might be jet lagged, but my pun game is on point right now.
Yeah, no, it is. You said you were tired, but this is not tired punning.
No, it is not. Crucible blocking that forced accord, though. Pajama Drama gotta be careful here. He might find himself in a bit of a jam. Now Juan Hernandez trying to get the damage down. He is silenced up, can't find those glimmer shots. Manages to get one down onto Delphi. He's trying to get out of here. This is a bad position for Hernandez to be in. He can't escape. He's got good damage. The reflex block allows him to get the one trade, but an ace picked up for Sirius. This game is back and forth.
It really is back and forth. Kraken happy to just take some shots at these turrets, but my thought is that Sweet and Sour could have potentially ended this game right here. Graskun a bit far forward from the rest of his team, and it was too hard for them to follow up.
Wow, the Kraken actually is able to pick up one turret here, so Sweet and Sour, they don't lose any pressure on the map as a result of losing that fight. In fact, they actually still gain some. So, if they fight in a better position next time, perhaps they're in a good position to then snowball that and try and take the game home.
Let's see if they can do it. Sweet and Sour moving out onto the map. Graskun just getting that vision down. He's actually controlling quite a large portion of this jungle currently with his scout traps. Very good and so important in matchups like this that you know the item progression. You know, are they infused? Are they not? Have they gotten that last item that they needed? That could be the game-ending factor.
All right, well, we might have another fight developing here. As you can see, Sweet and Sour beginning to move up the map, looking for Sirius. Sirius at the moment just narrowly escaping constantly the pressure coming out from Sweet and Sour. Got to be careful not to trap themselves on the wrong side of the map, though. With those scout traps exploding, Sweet and Sour now know exactly what Gangstars are up to. Maybe they can find a fight sometime soon. They're certainly looking for one.
Yeah, well, Sweet and Sour know where they were, but if they wait long enough...
Gangstars, they're going to flare it. They know what's going on here, but the hook still comes across the Crucible. Not there in time. Everyone grouped up from Sirius. Can they get away here? Look at the damage out of Juan Hernandez. He's doing so much on the back line. No one's on top of him, but the first kill going over to Sirius. Fuji jumping on the back line nearly takes Juan down. Oh, the stun! It's not going to be enough. That's another kill for Lone Delphi. It's a great fight for Sirius. They managed to get the ace even after a brilliant engagement coming out of Graskun.
Yeah, and the difference this time is they don't have a Kraken marching down the lane to distract these guys, so Gangstars are going to be happy to run right down towards Sweet and Sour's base. They're going to get one, possibly, I think they'll get 2 turrets off of this. If they back out, they will just take as much of the map as they want, and these guys are looking really good.
They are indeed, but gold lead only narrowly in favor of Sirius right now by about 1,000, so they've got to keep the pressure up. With Kraken spawning, this is a good opportunity. Can Sweet and Sour get here in time to contest?
Yes, they can get here in time. No? It feels close, but...
It's a weapon, Vox, so the single target
and
damage
look
to
at
Kraken.
Pajama Drama's positioning. If he's on the right side, he can body block that one-shot, one-kill if that's how they choose to come out. But, yeah, it's just not fast enough. It looked like when he was first started attacking, you're like, whoa, I mean, it's actually pretty large damage output.
Oh, this could be a fight developing here. Pajama already quite low. The Forced Accord not going to land, though. This time, Graskun can't find the initiation. It's going to buy a lot of time.
And that's a 30-second cooldown.
Yeah. And Drama can heal up off the back, right? So this is great for Sirius. They've managed to force Sweet and Sour to move into a position they can maybe start to get vision around. No one going down is obviously a big thing. Sweet and Sour is still in the lead with regards to kills. Obviously, the early advantage they accrued helps a lot with that.
Yeah, this is very tough. I think Graskun's done a good job with his forced accords, but across the board, Sirius, you can drop a death from above right on top of that group, and Vox likes to fight in these areas. Granted, it's not a CP Vox.
Oh, forced accord onto Fuji. That was a very nice hook. Look at that stun following it up. That's the Lance doing some work, and this time Juan Hernandez is not touched. He is going to get stunned by the gauntlet, but he just needs to get a little bit more time to keep the fight going. Pajama might be able to get away here. Is any slow going to come out of Gangstars? Doesn't look like it. Sweet and Sour, they're taking their time here. They want to go for the kill before they go for this Kraken. They should be able to pick it up. One shot, one kill. I'll never get tired of that. He should change his name.
I don't know what to say over here anymore, Jackson.
Lone Delphi, the lone member on Sirius, coming in here trying to contest. Got to be careful, though. That's not going to be a forced accord landing. See Juan still doing a lot of damage. Nice root from Delphi. He doesn't get the reflux down in time. I think Delphi is going to be going down here. That's going to be the ace picked up for Sweet and Sour. 2 seconds before Fuji's respawn. Graskun actually going to abandon the Kraken. They're going to go for the push here.
Yeah, no, you have plenty of time, and with this much, of a timer on Vox, it's just march right down, and you have that huge damage coming out of Juan here, so look at them just chunk through this last remaining turret, and Fuji, become a legend, buddy. Like, you don't really, there's not much he can do besides just go full out, and even then, it's just not going to be enough, so Sweet and Sour, picking up game 1.
What an inaugural performance to the Evil 8 for these newcomers to the top 8 scene of Vainglory. They really showed up in a big way. They're probably feeling pretty sweet after that one. Not too sour, to be honest.
Yeah, sour taste in Gangstar's mouth. They're feeling sweet.
Yeah. So, let's break down some of the items, because we didn't get a chance to do that during most of the game. We only jumped in a little bit late. We did have quite a lot of damage coming out from Juan Hernandez. He actually went for that breaking point, Tyrant's Monocle, and the Sorrow Blade. He was doing so much work, 15, 5, and 3. This guy's a monster.
Definitely. As far as what I'm noticing as not your obvious pickups, you do have the Crucible on Lone Delphi picked up. Across the board, Grasskin going for the Contraption. Something that's been in debate as to, the effectiveness, but obviously they pull out the victory here. He emphasized vision, and it worked out for them. I
really like Contraption on the new patch. It's just a much more realistic build path now that you don't have to compete for space with Warhorn, and especially on someone like a Finn, who might want to set up forced accords over walls and stuff, it really accommodates for that kind of play. So, Gangstar Sirius, obviously a very old organization with very strong players, but they were not able to come out ahead in Game 1. They can still bring this back, though. This is a best of 3. Maybe they can take Sweet and Sour all the way.
Maybe they can do it, but this team, they looked very strong. And we know that Sirius, with this roster, it's not like they've had a ton of time together. This is a roster that's not competitive experience in the past, but they all have individual time. I mean, Fuji leading this team. Now, this guy has tons of experience.
What a veteran, right?
Yeah, I mean, what has he not competed in? And he's played with consistently the top players, through the scene as well. So if anyone could lead him, I believe that Fuji can do it. It's just, can they get these guys all on the same page, get a draft that works for them?
With regards to their mental state, I'm sure Fuji is going to be of great assistance, in that area.
Yeah.
He's got the experience like you were talking about that allows him to not really tilt so badly after a loss like that and come back swinging in a game 2. So if he can keep his team on the level, I'm sure Gangstars can bring some cool stuff out. They maybe didn't expect that kind of a composition coming out of Sweet and Sour. When you're playing against a team, a lineup that you don't have a lot of footage on, it can be very difficult going into the draft in like a first game, maybe even a second game if they've got more prepared. As the Evil 8 develops, people will get to know Sweet and Sour a little bit more, and at that point, things like Juan Hernandez's Kestrel will probably become the signature hero.
Yeah, definitely, and you're having fun with that. I don't know, I don't really want any more Kestrel, the one shot, one kill.
One shot, one kill.
No, it was good. I liked it. Yeah, but moving forward, I mean, Fuji, he loves this guy. We know that this is a hero that he can win games on. Just wasn't able to do it here. Does he just need to get on the same page as Pajama Drama?
Maybe. That might be what it's down to. But actually, guys, let's break down the rosters for you, seeing as we didn't get a chance to do it before this series started. First up, Sweet and Sour. They've got quite a few members on their team. Wizard Sibs, Juan Hernandez, Graskun, Josh is a Babe, Police, maybe, Poli 528, 5208, and Splashy.
Well done, sir.
I'm just going to call him Poli.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
So if he plays Lance, roly-poly.
I'm going to just call him 5208.
All right, well, let's have a look at Gangstar Sirius's lineup. We've got Fuji. He's been on the Gangstars org for a long time, co-owns it. Lone Delphi, Pajama Drama, or Pajama Drama, depending on where you're from. Mac Daddy B, and Zyno.
Yeah, no, this is a roster that has tons of talent. I think Lone Delphi, multiple people have mentioned him as one of the up-and-coming players that really just needs a little bit of competitive experience, a break into the scene, and could be an all-star in the near future. Led by Fuji, this guy, he can get the work done. He can lead the team. Pajama Drama up-and-coming as well. Mac Daddy B, this guy's been around for a long time, so I think he does bring a lot to the table when it comes to just talking to the team, letting them know, this is the kinds of things that you can expect. This is what you're going to look for moving into these matches. So, yeah, I mean, everyone's got a role here on this team.
Man, he should rename to Smack Daddy. That'd be way better.
Well, Mac Daddy's pretty good, though.
It's pretty good, but Smack Daddy. Bring in the Smack Daddy.
All right, I like Mac Daddy.
All right, we can agree to disagree.
We can agree to disagree on that one. But okay. Twitch chat, Press 1 for Mac Daddy, 2 for Smack Daddy. We'll have the
we don't
results
get
at the
to
end.
see which one is voted for, so I'm going to assume I won. We are heading into the
Someone
draft
will tell us
fairly
later.
soon. So, but, you know, looking at that first game, do you think anything that Sweet and Sour was playing deserves a ban? We've seen Finn banned before.
It's really tough to say without seeing more of it. You can ban out the Finn, but then you leave so many other options on the table.
Very true.
It's really kind of pick your poison right now until we get to know these teams a little bit better. But yeah, that dude, the Kestrel, that was insane.
It was incredible. Von C's sweating a little bit right now, but let's head on into this draft. Sweet and Sour banning out the Taka, Sirius getting rid of the Lyra. First pick goes to Sweet and Sour this game. What are they going to prioritize here?
Well, they can go with the power picks that are going to set the tempo. That's going to be your Vox. It's going to be your Saw. That's going to be the first pick. Now, Gangstars, they have the ability to take one of these strong roamers off the table. What do they prioritize? Is it going to be Finn? Will it be Lance? And then plus they pick up either their jungler or laner. Based off last game, if you can pick this Kestrel, which are highlighted on, your pick is also a ban.
That's true, and certainly we've seen Kestrel and Vox actually paired together even just today, so Sweet and Sour, just because they've already locked in this Vox, does not preclude them from going for that. Looks like we're going to see Lance and Finn comboed together for Gangstars, though. This is obviously a very CC-heavy lineup, and it's a bit of a flex, too. We've seen Lance in lane from teams like Team Secret.
Yep.
They could go a number of directions from here.
Yeah, they can jungle, they can lane, they can roam. It's really up to this team how they want to define that. But yeah, it's going to be on a core position, and it's going to add a lot to this team's ability to just control areas and be very tanky. At the same time, across the board, we have the Arden locked in. Now we have with the Vox as well. How do they choose to round this out? It is the Alpha. So they have gap closers galore. Whatever the last pickup is for Sirius, they're going to have a hard time trying to run away from this lineup.
That is very, very true, and I'm excited that we're going to get to see some Alpha. We've seen it banned once, we've seen it considered once, but never actually locked in. So Sweet and Sour, going for something a little bit unusual. Maybe they'll be the lemon and lime of North America. Maybe they're going to pick from some of these weird compositions. Gangstars, they're actually running the same composition that Sweet and Sour ran last game. They want to say, look, we can do it just as well as you, we can make it work.
Yep, they definitely can. My goodness gracious, this Lance with the Finn, that is such a tanky combo. The first jungle shot rotation, I'm definitely going to pay attention to. I think it's going to be very interesting how they clash against each other. And, I mean, like, do you choose to fight that combo? I don't think so early on.
What build is Alpha going to go this game? It's going to be hard for her to do damage to the front line, so he's got to jump on the back line, right?
Yeah, I'm imagining
burst.
It's tough. I do think he'll benefit as a weapon Alpha, but honestly, I can't speak to what Wizard Zip's preference is right here. And if they can go double weapon, or you can split it up, the CP, the weapon on one or the other.
All right, so we're going to have to remake this lobby real quick, guys. Hopefully it won't take too much longer. We can break down the compositions in a little bit more detail in the meantime. One thing that I quite like is the Arden paired with the Alpha, because it gives you a little bit more reach over top of what is already quite a lot of reach with the Vanguard speed boost. Plus, if you can lock people inside of a gauntlet and then pop your termination protocol, it makes it very difficult to run away from it.
You're getting pretty excited about that over here.
I'm super excited, man. I love Alpha. It's awesome.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, I'm excited to see Alpha. And I said earlier, I think we're going to see a lot more Alpha as the season moves on. It's already on a lot of teams' radars as one of the top junglers right now. People are talking about Taka, their Alpha, their Glaives. And I think Alpha adds so much. It's incredibly hard to first, you kill the hero, got a second life. Okay, well, that's annoying. But try running away from an Alpha. Like, if the fight doesn't go well in the beginning, you've lost the fight. Right? Like, you have to have Alpha on her back foot. Once you start to run away, it's just not going to work.
I've got to agree with you. There's a lot of room for error here when it comes to Gangstars. I feel like the composition that Sweet and Sour are running is more able to deal with this, right? Like, the composition that Gangstars ran in Game 1 had some moments where things looked like they could go their way, but I think compositionally they were at a disadvantage. This time around, I think purely because of the Alpha being able to maybe get over the front line, that could be quite big here.
Yeah.
Githian Wall is going to be key. You really need to be using it to interrupt Prime Directive. I think that's going to be huge in these fights.
For sure, for sure. I mean, even in Kestrel, if you active camo in a predictable kind of fashion, if she's just trying to run away, well, there you are. You're going to be able to find her. It's the same thing when you face a Taka as Alpha.
Yeah, Alpha, if you have the ability to predict where people are going to go, you become so much stronger just because Prime Directive is such a powerful tool at getting on top of people. But guys, we've loaded onto the Halcyon Fold. This is going to be a very interesting game. Can Sweet and Sour, in their first series of the Evil 8, manage to come in swinging and take this home 2-0? Let's find out. Forecourt Jester and Tasty Bacon, take it away.
Well, the game is loaded, and Wizard Sibs has just brought up and booted that alpha for the first time, Bacon, and I'm very curious to see where this is going to go. And, you know, I said a bit earlier, I think it was a little bit more of a throwaway ban. Perhaps there's a little bit more logic to it.
Yeah, definitely. Alpha is actually really strong right now, especially what the build that I hope that Wizard Sibs goes is the weapon power. A weapon power alpha is incredibly strong and incredibly difficult to kill. It's almost as tough to take down as a Krull with full weakness stacks on you. So there's so much lifesteal coming out of her, and of course that mobility and ability to stick to opponents, and that makes her actually a very valid threat.
Well, an interesting direction here for the early game. We didn't actually go to the early, for those early forward camps here from Sweet and Sour. They actually decided to go out and look for a lane gig. Now, Lone Delphi did not get hit by that hit scan from Wizard Sibs, but they did, however, give up that forward camp. So a little bit of a cash discrepancy already, and that's going to be leaning here to Gankstars, but don't read too much into it. It's just more of a footnote here. Interesting style to give up the farm, looking for that potential kill that early on.
Yeah, they definitely really wanted to get that kill in lane. It could be a sign of how they're going to play throughout, but look at how much damage Lone Delphi is doing onto Juan Hernandez. But it gets traded back rather effectively thanks to the help of the minions and those resonance bounces. As you can see, just more damage and more attention into the lane coming out from Sweet and Sour.
All right, so I was curious at how this was going to work out. I mean, Fuji, obviously, Gankstars, Fuji, they go hand in hand, but this Lance, we do not get to see carry Lance style, I think, in NA competitive as of yet.
Oh, I mean, it depends on what you consider to actually be the carry Lance, because we've seen a lot of the Lances start with weapon power and build a fair amount of weapon power. Even in North America, that's kind of been the go-to strategy, but this is going to be a full-blown carry. Like, there's not going to be much in terms of roam items being built at all. So, like you said, it's a little bit different than what we're used to, but it's definitely effective. We heard, especially when Lance first came out, a lot of people were experimenting with this weapon Lance and seeing just what they could do with it, and a lot of players that I talked to were very happy.
Yeah, so, all right, well, I mean, it's up to them to kind of show what they can do here, but Fuji, I mean, I'm pretty sure this is not going to be like some kind of Korean-style double support, just trying to make that front line for Delphi, but it is going to be double weapon power, it seems. I don't see a lick of Crystal ready to go, and Pajama Drama with that Iron Guard contract tells me that he's going to be more or less that roam. So this is double weapon up against... It's a little harder to call with Sims, but, you know, you were thinking for the weapon. He does have that Eclipse, so I think it's actually going to be more of a Crystal blow-up style.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it will be, but in the lane, Lone Delphi gets the kill on to Juan Hernandez. A nice start in the lane for this Kestrel.
Yeah, I was more just busy with looking at Fuji, but now I'm looking at Grasskun, who's just taking some glimmer shots to it. And, you know, the team that's 1-0 up against the legendary team name of Gankstars, they are holding their own. Yeah, they're down that one kill, but look at Juan. They are going to find Delphi, but it's the actual Juan was not able to kind of catch up by the end of it, and Fuji off to the side, he is able to clean up that Arden. So the three-man squad now getting together here in lane. Don't think they can push the turret yet, but they might be able to rotate, find some farm. Either way, they are now extending that lead 1-0 to 2.
Yeah, Gankstars coming into this season with a couple of players that not everyone is going to be familiar with in Lone Delphi and Pajama Drama, but they're definitely a organization that has been around. They know what they're doing, and they're putting a lot of attention onto growing their own talent and trying to rebuild themselves from the ground up. Right now, Fuji in a bit of trouble on this Lance, but he's tanky enough with that Githian wall active to get out of there and just combat roll away. And now his Gankstars going to try and turn this one around. This would be a very difficult fight.
Yeah, it feels more like you need more level 6s in your arsenal than just a combat role there from Fuji. But something that is really showing some huge promise here is that Fuji can clear jungle extremely fast. That, for example, right there on that minion, he's been able to do that on the forward camps, and he did that into the back camps there as well. His burst rate with that weapon is actually extremely high and great for counter farming.
It really is, and not to mention the fact that his attacks hit everything in a line. It allows him to go ahead and clear out those camps, especially the doubles, very quickly. So it's a really powerful tool that I think gets overlooked a bit, especially with with Lyra coming out. Lance kind of fell off a bit. He kind of got not quite forgotten about, because he is one of the most played heroes thus far today. Yeah, but definitely hasn't been on the forefront of everyone's mind in terms of power of these two new heroes.
All right, so still sitting at 2-0, and Gangstar is a little bit more of the lead in terms of the cash, but it's still anybody's game. Going into this Crystal Alpha tells me that a lot of this is going to be the hit scan, the Prime Directive, as well as that termination protocol. You really need to try to stick to this team in order to get that blow-up capacity, especially Lone Delphi. He's going to be the big target on this. And we said, why are you going Rona? Why are you going Taka into Lyra? I'm a little concerned that they're going Crystal Alpha into this, into Fuji right now on top of this Lance.
Well, we'll see what he can do. I mean, obviously, that's going to be a lot of damage being taken, and that is a great kill. Again, Lone Delphi having some really nice plays on this Kestrel thus far.
Yeah, no, I was actually almost writing off Lone Delphi right there, and I was like, oh, I gave it to Bacon, he'll cover it, he's a cool guy like that. But no, Delphi just pulls out all the stops. They get another kill there. Fuji now comes right around. It's the three-man collapse, the gold mine. I have high doubts this is being stolen. His subs gonna go right through that wall with the Prime. Nope, he's not gonna even give that time of day. So what did we see earlier with Lance and Lyra? A lot of zone control. We saw Mowgli, for example, even fast enough with the fingers to redirect gauntlets. I have fears that Sibs is going to hit the mark with this crystal.
Yeah, if Fuji can react quick enough to knock away those Prime Directives, it can be absolutely massive, especially with the Crystal Alpha. Like, so much of what she does relies on getting some stacks built of the core charges and then going in with a Prime Directive and hitting that big AoE burst. But if she gets knocked out of it, that's so much of her burst damage that she's looking to do negated. Or even once she does pop that termination protocol, if she gets knocked away from the fight and can't re-engage, it's again that all of that burst, literally that's all of her damage just completely negated.
Well, so as always, it's up to the players to show us the plays. Fuji's looking for that route, but we have the boots ready to go. Wizard Sibs kind of serpentines, and he's ready to go. So Lone Delphi, he's going to be pushing up this lane. We got Pajama there, but we don't have that level 6 out of court. Is just not ready. And now the three-man rotation coming back into full swing from Sweet and Sour. They will push Pajama Drama away. Fuji just goes right into the jungle looking for the, some pickup. Again, he has an extremely fast clear time. He can pop out and do that. Now we're setting up for the fight, though. Pajama Drama is, again, he's a big target. How did that miss, Fuji? That was a little bit more unfortunate. And now Wizard Sibs, he's looking for that blow-up. He gets the hit on top of Delphi. The silence comes out from Juan, and that is now going to be Fuji actually getting the return. You had no defenses ready for that Alpha, but he can't seem to hit the mark there for Juan. His auto attacks, however, are definitely hitting the combat roll. He will get that kill. And now we are sitting at a 5-1, and Fuji very likely off to pick up that healing guy.
Yeah, Lone Delphi actually came very close to falling just by getting close to Fuji on that re-engage, and those resonant bounces almost took him out. So he did back away just in time. Fuji getting enough damage with that massive basic attack range. Of course, the basic attack resets that come through as long as you connect with the lunge and you get a reset, and the combat roll is another reset for yourself. So he's able to get some pretty quick attacks off despite the obviously very low base attack speed of Lance.
So Fuji's now sitting 3-0. Of the 5 kills, he's been there 60%, but 71 farm? That's not even the best part of it. He's level 11. There is nobody close to the experience that Fuji has had by doing these solo camps in such a fast, quick, successive order. We got a one-shot. It's definitely not a one-shot. Thanks so much for that action, Jackson. But Fuji is just a powerhouse right now.
Yeah, he's really, really strong. The Forced Accord doesn't quite connect. If it did, it may have been a really big engage for Gangstars. That's going to be what they're looking for. If they can get the Forced Accord, you can then have Kestrel firing glimmer shots into that just pool of targets, and of course Lance keeping everyone in position. They can do some serious work, but it's a lot of it is going to be reliant on Pajama Drama hitting those Forced Accords.
Fuji's on the chase. I mean, there's a lot of lane pressure coming in from Sweet and Sour, but Fuji's been all over the jungle. He has even denied more to Wizard subs and Sibs, and now coming into this, he saw him coming. He even popped out those boots. He will get his own backs, and Wizard Sibs, unfortunately, just kind of left to pick the bare bones. Thankfully, though, his jungle is ready to go, so it's not going to be the worst that it could have been. But once more, again, Fuji's just all over this case, and the level distance means you can't 1v1 him.
Yeah, I mean, he's about to hit level 12. Coming into this lane, he does get 12. That is max level. The highest level on the side of... Oh my goodness, they get the kill. The highest level on the side of Sweet and Sour is 9. He's got 3 full levels over anyone else in the game. This crazy farm style from Fuji has been paying off, but they need to turn it into a larger lead in the overall game.
Yeah, because once everybody starts catching up, that early game advantage is donezo. Now, we don't actually have anyone with eyes on Wizard Sibs. At least I don't think we do. They're definitely making no overtures over towards that, and Sibs is just waiting for that backs to spawn. We do have a scout trap there, though, so immediately Fuji is going to know, but that doesn't matter for now. That's a great route, and that is done for Juan. He is out of there. Fuji with that combat roll just to seal the deal. He had the Githyan roll ready, but while they're in that lane, Sibs, very safe to pick up those backs, and now pushing and pushing. Fuji just annihilated that wave with Lone Delphi.
Yeah, Grasskuden doing what he can to try and keep this turret alive, trying to stall out the minion wave, but it's not going to be enough.
The boots?
Is the boots the heal? Is it? Will he survive? Oh my goodness, nope. The combat roll will secure it, and now that is going to be the turret being taken down. A valiant effort by Grasskuden, but now here comes Wizard Sibs and Juan. There's low health on Gangstars.
Wow, that AoE actually was big enough. It does go through, and that was a fantastic combo from Sibs, and that wait for it, a counter ace is going to be coming down to Sweet and Sour. They're showing life into this game. 23,000 gold now into their pocket. They're bridging that gap a bit, and now they're going to take a celebratory turret with these ace buff minions.
And that was all set up by the sacrificial play from Grasskuden. He delayed that first turret going down by Gangstars for so long just by holding the minion wave out in front of the turret. It allowed his teammates to come back from the dead or from recalling and able to pick up those kills and get a turret of their own, keeping this game very close. The gold lead is less than 3,000.
I mean, you called it, Bacon. As time goes on, you know, if we get greedy, if we try to use that overextend, you know, that advantage is just going to disappear. That being said, Juan, can he actually pick up Delphi? He does. Now, Juan is actually on the wrong side of Fuji, but he is trying to put out as much damage as he can. The stun will connect, and Juan, well, he's actually going to get that Vanguard, and that is 1 and 2. Pajama Drum is not going anywhere. This is a back ace situation. A Sweet and Sour take another fantastic fight.
Yeah, that was Juan Hernandez getting an immense amount of damage done onto Lone Delphi to start things off, and just with the healing and shield provided by Grasskuden, able to get the ace against all 3 members of Gangstars, going down kind of one at a time. Not really a fully coordinated defense effort coming from Sirius.
So Fuji's just going straight glass cannon at this point. I mean, glass, well, plexiglass maybe. It's definitely stronger than your ordinary turret, but
yeah, I mean, Githyan Wall does still give an 80% damage reduction or whatever it is. Like,
as a passive.
So
yeah, so fiberglass.
Oh, Pajama Drama might be caught out. Just gonna pop those boots, get himself to safety.
Oh, actually, I'm gonna take that back. Fuji just picked up some armor on top of that. So all right. No glass cannon type here. He does realize he needs a little bit more. If he is going to go toe-to-toe here with Juan Hernandez, I mean, that is that weapon Vox. And the weapon Vox really just showed huge power in these last 2 fights. The single target potential between him and Grasskuden, this chase, the heals, the shields. That was definitely a scary thought. And Gangstars, I mean, they're already on the back foot in this series.
Oh, Gauntlet!
He's going to set it up, gets one stun. There's now a silence to follow that. Delphi has really not too much to say on this one. Sibs is on that front line. He's trying to tank it out, but no termination protocol popped. That was a heck of a lot of buttons pressed, but no kills, and even coming down to the misses of inches at the end of it.
Yeah, well, now it's Gangstars. They're looking to engage. There's a recall from Juan Hernandez. This is a 3-on-2, but they don't get anyone caught in that chase. So everyone from Sweet and Sour able to get out safely. Kraken is available. Look at the gold. It's actually slightly in favor of Sweet and Sour. Now, Juan Hernandez, though, he face checks the brush and thankfully dodges the route there, but this could be bad.
Sibs is going to blow up. He knows that he can as well. He does get that Prime Directive 1 and 2, and now Fuji's on the run. Juan, though, he's going to get rooted, and Fuji can't get the follow-up, even with the Kraken being tanked. Oh, this is a third ace into the hand of Sweet and Sour. At this point, they're going to go home happy with a 3 of a kind. They might win this pot and go 2-0.
They very much look like they could. That was an ace that they picked up in a 2-on-3 situation. Grasskun was nowhere near that fight. That was all Juan and Wizard taking out the entirety of Gangstar's Sirius. Phenomenal play coming out of these two damage dealers.
So all that talk about having, that roam, that lance, yeah, a little bit of weapon damage, sure, but it's all about those reflexes, right? Yeah, no, just throw all that out the window. Fuji's out for blood. He's looking for kills. He is not looking for the counters on these. And, that almost feels like it's playing into the Sweet and Sour hands.
Yeah, it does seem that way. Because he's using all these abilities more offensively than anything else, he's not able to have that Githyan wall up to block anything defensively. Wizard Sibs gets pulled in, but immediately runs out. But now here comes Juan Hernandez and the rest of Sweet and Sour.
And they got the stun on top of Delphi as well. It's going to keep him at least grounded, but man, that damage coming through. Wizard Sibs, he's going to get into that, and will that explode? The combat roll from Fuji actually keeps him alive, and Delphi off to the side will win the 1v1 with Vox, but Jama Drama and Fuji are on their last legs. But at this point, you got to do something about this Kraken, and Grasskun, he's not going to be enough for a kill. Wizard Sibs thinking maybe, nope, he's faking it out. Can he bring down Fuji? The 80% is really, really harsh right here, but nope, Sibs done, no kill there. Finally, something goes right for Gangstars, and by right, I mean they're on one turret. If they lose another Kraken, I can't see them coming out of it, but for now, they have a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, a little bit of breathing room gained by Gangstars. They pick up the ace, they take down the Kraken before it can destroy their final turret, but this is not looking good for Gangstars Sirius. They are most certainly on their last legs. Sweet and Sour, I am thoroughly impressed by their play coming out of this game. I mean, they were the team that was kind of, it almost felt there were people in the community thinking that they were just kind of given the spot and didn't really deserve it. I think that they are clearly showing that they absolutely deserve to be within the Evil 8 right now.
Well, my recollection is it went by rankings, so, whoever came out of that top 8 that couldn't show up, I mean, that's why they're here. And as you say, I mean, they are really showing that they are prepared, they are ready to roll. Grasskun was in the previous qualifiers. I mean, the only two names I recognize here is Fuji and Grass, and I think Grass coming into it, got to be happy if this ends up at 2-0. The Gauntlet, however, is a little bit of a throwaway, and I'm not entirely too sure about fighting in this spot, but Wizard Sibs, he's dropping low. He just wants his 700 damage with that blow up from the Termination Protocol, but he is done. But Jama Drama is out as well. Juan is looking for Delphi, but they might have to give that one up. One shot is going to connect with only on top of Grasskun. That is not the kill I think they were looking for, and now a shot in the back. Fuji will drop, and it will be a 2-4-1, could be a 3. Grasskun, can he pick up the pace? Can they pick up on top of Delphi? He's going to just out. Pop it out, and he's going to be okay. But still, anybody's game. It's leaning to me a little bit here for Sweet and Sour.
Yeah, definitely leaning a little bit. The Kraken has respawned and will be the focus of both of these teams. If Sweet and Sour pick up this objective, you have to assume it's going to be game over. Unless they get aced immediately after, there's almost no way that they do not close out the game with another Kraken push. The damage coming out of Juan Hernandez has been absolutely insane. His ability to dance around the fights is just keeping him alive for so long. We see a ton of armor being finished on the side of Gangstars, two jackets are completed, one on Fuji, one on Delphi, and Fuji getting even more armor on top of that because they know that that's their big threat. Yeah, the Alpha does a lot of burst, but it is not the consistent damage. Oh, look at this, though. Sweet and Sour, they're going to try and go for the backdoor finish.
Yep, and there it is. That was going to be the
Here come the
blue threads
recalls
coming in, and that is just one half turret between them and victory. It is down for the count. Fuji's now coming in. The gauntlet stuns too. It's going to keep him at bay, and they go for the crystal. They go for the throat, and that is now a done deal. 2-0 as we come into the Evil 8. Sweet and Sour got to be very happy with this.
What a call from Sweet and Sour to make that decision, recognizing that Gangstars are pushing up the lane, trying to bait out a fight, and they managed to sneak through the jungle and get into the base of Gangstars. They weren't seen until they were at the entrance of the base, and at that point it was too late. Gangstars recalled immediately, but they just were not able to get back in time. Sweet and Sour, a 2-0 victory over Gangstar Sirius in their Evil 8 debut.
I had some doubts about this this Crystal Alpha, but by the end of it all doubts should be cleared. 336 did the plays that he needed to. Juan Hernandez once more, just kind of the superstar here. And both teams bringing new talent into the Evil 8. I'm looking very much forward to see what else these teams can do.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait to see more play from Sweet and Sour tomorrow. Of course, the Gangstar Series, they're going to have to wait until next week to have their next game in the Evil 8 and try and get themselves some points in the standings. But what an incredible showing out of Sweet and Sour. They are definitely a team to keep your eyes on. I know our analysts and hosts back at the lair are definitely going to have a fun time with this one. Action Jackson and Humanist, take it away.
Wow, Sweet and Sour, just like you said, in their debut in the Evil 8, coming out swinging. Very impressive performance from them. I'm so almost surprised that the game ended that way, though. With the amount of experience on Gangstar Sirius, you got to be surprised when they don't identify the potential of a backdoor.
Well, the experience is really funneled into Fuji there. I mean, you do have some new blood there as well. And if Fuji, I don't know what happened. You can only guess. They obviously got caught off guard, but he could have been focused on leading the team. Okay, we have to apply pressure, blah, blah, blah. What are your items? Keeping up on that regard as the captain's doing. And they slip up there. Sweet and Sour with a bit of spice there at the end to go for that back door, and I like it.
I like it a lot. We don't get to see backdoors that often. By the way, our MVP for the match is, of course, going to be the Juan Hernandez. Juan. What a play, man.
What a player.
Such an impressive performance. Yep. I really think he stepped up to the plate, given that it's his first time competing at this kind of level. It takes a lot of ability
baseball
to be
reference
able to do that.
from a Brit. I like it.
I don't watch baseball very often, but I also want to break down that game a little bit in more detail.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because I think the key for me was the Alpha paired with the Vox.
Yep.
Alpha was exactly what Vox needed to buy him time.
Yeah, it was indeed. Actually, he did a phenomenal job frontlining for his team. You had him backed up with the Ard in there as well, buying just enough time. And the moment he senses danger, it's boom, Termination Protocol activated. You got a couple seconds there. The whole time, Vox is building up those breaking point stacks. And then at that point, it's good to go. Vox moves forward. Whoever he locks onto is going down. So we saw an incredibly tanky lineup of the Lance, of the Finn, just getting melted by this Vox.
It wasn't tanky enough, though. I mean,
No.
we saw Fuji going a little bit maybe too tunneled on the aggressive items. Didn't work out quite as well as he would have liked. But let's have a look at the brackets. We now know one of our semifinals matchups. It's going to be Velocity versus Sweet and Sour. And Sweet and Sour, yeah, they're probably feeling pretty good about making it to the semifinals. Their first week in the Evil 8, but they're going to be up against the Spring Champions. It's going to be a very tough game, but one which, if they win, will certainly be very impressive. We have one more game to play today, which is Phoenix Reign versus TSM. The winner of that is going to face Phoenix Reborn. So we could have a Phoenix versus Phoenix match. It is possible. TSM, they've undergone some shifts, and Von C, I'm sure, is itching to show off his Kestrel after Juan Hernandez debuted with such a strong performance on it. Just to remind people, that he's a god on that hero.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really needs any reminding if you watch the live championships, but Von C, an absolute monster. You know, one of the things, though, TSM bringing in the guy that almost single-handedly knocked them out of the live championships, I'm sure they're feeling good about that.
All right, well, quickly before we cut to a break, guys, do not forget hashtag Amazon Coins in the Twitch chat for your chance to win 500 ice. There will be 3 winners selected during this giveaway, so don't miss your opportunity to win some of that awesome ice. We're going to go on a quick break before our final series of our first broadcast of the Evil 8. It's going to be TSM versus Phoenix Rain.
This is an Amazon coin, and it's the start of something big. Did you know that Amazon coins can get you games, apps, and in-app items at super discounts every day of the year? Amazon coins. Save big and play on. Amazon coins can be used in games and apps from the Amazon Underground app on Android devices and Amazon App Store on Fire tablets and Fire TV.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Evil 8. My name is Action Jackson. Joining me is Humanist, and we have our final series of the day coming up for you guys. It's going to be Phoenix Rain up against Team Solo Mid, 2 teams which have had big changes in their rosters between seasons. Going to be interesting to see which of them has managed to get the best deal out of that.
Yeah, definitely. We had some roster shakeups, but still, at the end of the day, they're incredibly strong, debatably stronger than before on how you look at it. Right now, let's talk about Phoenix Rain to start things off here. Now, Phoenix Rain, they actually keep this core of old school along with Ezidox. What they bring in, Status Baked, E36, and Selena Gomez. These guys coming over from Lebex. Oh, mine is Marto, but Old School. Now, keep your eye on Old School in these games. This is one of the best laners that you will see out there. You pair that up with a guy like Status Baked, who is that phenomenal kind of jungle aggressive type player. They can get a lot done.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I think the aggression from both of these guys is going to complement one another very nicely. I mean, Joseph was an aggressive player, but Status Baked has been known for that for a very, very long time. They're going to be playing up against Team Solo Mid in this series, and TSM, they've got some changes to their roster too, so let's bring that one up. It's Best Chuck NA being added to their team, and in replacement for Mixi and Cole the Meek, they've got Von C and Mike83, Flash X staying on as their captain and roamer.
Yeah, Flash just holding this team down. This guy, one of the best leaders in the scene right now. Very cerebral guy. He thinks through all of these situations. He has drafts prepared for every single team. He's leading his team. One of the most vocal leaders out there. You see him at the live events. He's constantly communicating to his team. Player A has item, Z, as all down the line. Everything's constantly updated. And if he thinks a scout trap's down, he's telling his team there's a scout trap in that bush.
I was actually sitting across from TSM's old lineup when they were playing in the hotel room before E3, and it was awesome listening to the shot calling. It was really cool. They were so clear and crisp in their communication. Hopefully they've been able to translate that to the new lineup. FlashX certainly has the capabilities to do so, but let's hop into the draft for this final series. Phoenix Rain have first pick and first ban, and they're getting rid of the Kestrel that, of course, Von C is so well known for.
Yeah, Von C, an absolute Kestrel monster. Phoenix Rain making a smart choice to ban that out. Now with the Lyra ban, everything just falls into place here.
You would have thought that Phoenix Rain, given that it's Von C's birthday today, happy birthday by the way, Von C, would have let them play the Kestrel, but they're not going to.
No mercy.
No mercy at all.
Mercy here.
No mercy.
Happy birthday, Von C, if we're not getting trolled out.
We might be getting trolled. It's a possibility.
I like to get trolled a little bit, though. Some good memes, a little trolling.
It'd be fun.
Yeah. It's all in good
I was
faith.
trolling you when I said I was happy that you were going to be on the desk with me.
Don't troll me now. Don't troll me now. That's
All
it.
right, let's get back to the
Dropping
game.
the mic, I'm out.
We've been derailed. All right.
We have a
Finn
draft
and
going,
Lance
Jackson.
were picked up for TSM. And on the flip side, we've got Vox and Taka, and they have a last pick coming in here for Rain. How are these compositions developing in your mind?
Well, okay, with the Taka, I wouldn't have been surprised if that actually came out as a roam Taka, but it's not. That's not going to be the case. In fact, they pick up the Arden here. Early on, I'm really curious how they're going to stack up against the rotations coming out of TSM, because it's going to be the same kind of deal. You're going to have the very tanky Lance along with the Finn. If this is the case, I would expect that Rain's aggression early on will go to lane. Sky is the pickup. If you don't kill Sky when you jump on him, you've completely wasted your time.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So I'm going to be interested to see how they play this composition. The Sky, the Lance, and the Finn, something we haven't seen before. We've seen Kestrel in place of the Sky, but this obviously operates a little bit differently. You don't have quite as easy a time poking because the Glimmer shots aren't there. They don't go through things as a forward barrage instead. But there's certainly a lot of potential here for it to work. I think they're going to have a lot of stick-to-itiveness in their composition.
Yes, they will indeed. But, they're going to have a lot of stick-to-itiveness to kill the Sky. Taka will have to get into the back line. That's going to be hard. You have a lot of AoE coming out of both the Finn and the Lance. Okay, now you just, for Sky, if she's able to position around these two tanky teammates, I think she'll be able to get a lot of work done. But at the same time, you're going to have mentally, okay, where is Taka in this fight as he Kaku's around? And then you're going to have to deal with the Vox, too. So it's tough.
Yeah, there's definitely some potential for that to go wrong. By the way, guys, we're slightly delayed getting into game because there is a technical glitch. We'll try and get that sorted for you as soon as possible. But in the meantime, let's talk about the composition on the flip side of the coin. Vox, Arden, and Taka for the side of Phoenix Rain.
There you go.
How's that one going to work?
Well, we got Old School on his Vox, right? So he's going to be having a blast. I think right now Old School's probably sitting there very happy that they have the Vox pickup. He knows it's just a matter of time before he's going to be able to just blow somebody up, whether he decides to go CP or weapon. If they could go for, especially when you're up against this kind of tanky lineup, the double weapon does work out very well. If you go for the mindset, okay, we're just going to delete the Sky out, then you might see the Crystal Taka come into play. But it's really up to how they want to approach these fights.
The one thing that I really do like about this composition that I hadn't thought of before is how similarly it functions to the composition that Sweet and Sour just ran. Taka is going to be a great distractor from Vox, right? And although he doesn't have the reboot, which is a more guaranteed way of staying alive and getting out of a tough spot, he does have Kaku, so if he's not crowd-controlled, he can maybe slip out of there and go back in later.
You knew
on.
my response. I was going to say, but he doesn't have a second life, Jackson. And that's what it's... if you get caught, I think he's almost just dead. Like, if you get rooted in place, Sky's anywhere near you, you're going to die. Especially once the Quibble starts coming out, the overdriven Quibble coming out of this Finn.
That is going to be something he's got to keep in mind. I think he's going to really have to have the reflex blocks on point, and he's going to have very quick reactions when it comes to that Kaku. But guys, we are on to the fold for our final match of the day between TSM and Phoenix Rain. It is Forecourt Jester and Tasty Bacon.
Well, Gibby, it's the final series, sir, but we're guaranteed at least 2 matches, so don't go anywhere yet there, Action Jackson. But yeah, so far so good today. NAEU, fantastic stuff overall. And now Tasty Bacon, it is ready for the no fear, just fight.
Yeah, we've had a couple of very close series. We've had some one-sided matchups. We've had some upsets. It's been a very full day of Vainglory, and now these two teams are going to close it out, and it is the new look team solo mid. Best Chuck NA in the lane with Von C on this weapon jungle lance coming through. Definitely a no fear type hero, and right now it's Status Bake the one showing no fear.
Now, when we were going through those drafts, it's like, all right, so they're probably going to do a Sky here at the end of it. I did not expect Von C to be picking up that lance. So what we just saw with Fuji, I expect very much like similar kind of stuff here for Von C. And, you know, Von C, it's really hard to say he's not going to do well on it, but he is finding the entire team. The rest of the reinforcements come, then the Root will maybe get the trade. No, Old School gets right behind Ezodox, using Arden's body to shield right then and there for that forward barrage. It will be the 1-0, and Von C, not off to the start you thought he might be.
Yeah, definitely not the start that he would want to be on either. We know that the Von C has been one of the more emotional players. Like when he gets on a roll, he will just completely take over a game. But if he falls a little too far behind early on, it could be something that he just never recovers from. So hopefully, with the guidance of Flash X in this roam position, he'll be able to help keep him in check and allow him to go ahead and play up to the best of his abilities. A nice route there. Will they be able to get this kill?
That's going to come down close. If Flash had actually landed that Quibble, could have been a different story, but Von C, his damage is done. He's going right back to the farm. And Ezodox, he is here to babysit Old School, but not really going to be too much more usefulness in this lane. So I'd expect him to either transfer out, look for a little bit of farm, or go all the way home, which is exactly what he's doing. So here comes Status Baked, and our analyst did say, Status Baked, big aggression, the jungle, definitely one of the icons of NA when it comes to that role. I'm just curious how far this Taka is going to go.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. It looks like he's going to go in pretty far right now, popping that Kaku, but immediately getting pulled back thanks to the polite company.
Do you think that was a misclick? Do you think that was a mistap?
I think he accidentally tapped forward before popping the Kaku because he walked out of the bush and then hit the box. I think he meant to hit the box before hitting the bush.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic of him, Bacon.
Yeah, absolutely. These players definitely, these are the top players in all of North America, so mistakes like that are not common, but they do happen, and nobody's perfect. It's a fact of life, but we'll see. Von C, I want to watch and see if he goes similar to what Fuji did in just hyper farming up the jungle. It's Von C's style normally, and we've already seen how effective it can be on a lance.
Hey, getting level 12 by 9 minutes in, who wouldn't want that kind of deal right then and there? But right now, he is sitting at level 4, and it's about on par with everything. Don't really see too much hyperness going in. A lot of crystal bits, though, coming back and forth. Old School's going to be setting up for the Resonance. Looking forward to seeing how many bounces he can get. But Best Chuck NA not going to go for the double weapon with Von C, so he is going to be more that spread damage type here.
Yeah, which I do still prefer at the end of the day. While the double weapon has worked wonders in certain compositions, I do still think having your damage spread out across multiple different types of damage just make you that much more effective, that much more difficult to itemize against as a whole. So we'll have to see if Team Solo Mid can make it work here. Already the minion mine being captured early on by Von C hasn't really been going aggressive with this lance, has actually built a couple of defensive items early on to start things off. So a little, I guess, out of the ordinary for Von C, but now he's going to make a trip towards the enemy jungle and steal away these camps. And again, you can see just how quickly a lance is able to take out those doubles.
Yeah, I might have to book some lessons here with Shin Kaigen just so he can teach me the ways of this. But Von C has that level 6. And going into this, well, he doesn't exactly hit the mark. The combat roll wasn't on the right angle. He doesn't actually get the hits on top of Status Bake. And, well, he did not find Status Bake there whatsoever. So I think we're just going to bounce off each other here. The one kill should remain. I don't really see kill potential from either side, but Status Bake is level 6. with that Taki, has the extra 2 ready to go, but Vonsi is not going to be the target for it. Flash, very likely not going to be the target for it. That leaves you with Best Chuck. And Sky, quivering, kind of behind these guys with Suri strikes ready to go. It's, again, I have to kind of be very watchful to see how far Status Bait can push this.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough for Status to get those kills, as there is a bit of a skirmish, but Von C just not having the ability to land those hits onto the incredibly elusive Taka. Right now, Team Solomid, they're trying to collapse onto him, but Status Baked just knows where to go to avoid detection and get himself recalled back to base, and he should be able to clear out his own jungle.
Taka literally walked into the jungle, hit the minion, and stole right out from Vonsi. Then he walked out, and now he's coming right back into it. Vonsi's actually down now low, half as well. Flash, he's going to be making a U-turn, and okay, they're not actually going to try to collapse and force this from Vonsi. Status Bake actually looking to put the damage on top of Flash, but again, I mean, the big guy, not going to be so easy to bring him down.
Oh,
and, well,
Status Bake completely
does it again,
faked out all 3 members of Team Solomid. Of course, you know, they'll say, oh, they were just going to go farm our jungle anyway. It had nothing to do with the juke. But a very close game to start things off here. 6.5 minutes in, the gold lead is dead even. And neither team looks to be wanting to take too many risks, which is, for the junglers at least, rather uncharacteristic.
Well, Flash X is still also biding his time in traditional Flash X fashion. Wow. He has really no traps to add to this. Not too many flares. He has used them a few times. He's still not going to go for any kind of that vision, although you do see one just in that bush right there. He does have that fountain, and now he's going to go for a little bit more cooldown. And I'm curious, Bacon, is Flash X going to go straight for Chronograph, or is this like something more like an Aftershock?
I would expect it to be a Chronograph going into a Clockwork. It's almost like a staple item for Finn at this point. Von C, he's found himself some trouble.
Yeah, he's brawling, and he's bringing Ezidox down low. There's no gauntlet for the Arden, but again, we don't have a hook there for Flash either, so it's, again, just more bouncing off each other. As soon as we see those level 6s come through for everyone, I expect to see a lot more aggression.
Yeah, and you can see almost Von C really wants to go aggressive into the Phoenix Rain jungle, but just every time he tries to, Phoenix Rain just rotate very nicely. But now they found Status Big, and he just gets caught up in that forward barrage and dropped.
He gets kind of stuck on that corner right then and there, but Flash X, good combo there with Best Chuck, and Best Chuck going to be trying to cover that escape, but that was not the best of ideas. Look at the power of that crystal.
Yeah, Crystal Fox just does so much damage with those resonance bounces. If you are anywhere close to the primary target, you are just gonna get melted, and that's a Finn is a great target for a Vox.
Now Von C, Ezidox, and Old School are kind of playing with him here. I'm not entirely too sure who stole that farm, but Von C is trying to be this aggressive jungler. He's trying to leverage those fast clear times to just kind of be everywhere, and I'm just not convinced that it's the same pace of Fuji. Either that or Fuji just had a remarkable game for it. Still though, Von C is level 9 at this point, Bacon.
Yeah, he does have the highest level in the game, but it's not by an absurd amount like Fuji was. And I feel like a lot of that has actually been these scout traps that have been put down by Phoenix Rain. They've seen Von C when he tries to make these aggressive moves into their jungle, and they've been able to collapse really well and stop him before he could get to those back camps. And he's been able to steal the forwards a few times, but it just has not been anywhere near as much as he would normally like.
Now, I totally kind of blanked on this one. I expected to see this earlier, and it didn't happen, so I kind of just missed it subconsciously. Flash X went for a contraption. This is the dawn of a new era of Flash X.
Well, we'll have to see. Even though he has the contraption, he still didn't put down many scout traps, but there's a big fight.
Yeah, but the anchor didn't connect. It's on cooldown. The double root there from Von C does actually spread the damage very nicely. Old School and Ezidox do come down low, and I don't think Status Baked is going to be brave enough to jump into this. And I like the contraption. I really do. It's not just turning over a new leaf here for Flash, but it's to control that Taka. And I think he's going to get well worth his money at this rate of the spam. Look at how many traps are all of a sudden out here.
Yeah, I think it's definitely almost entirely because of the Taka. Otherwise, I don't think there's a chance that Flash X buys that item. It just does not fit his usual play style. But with a Taka, he doesn't usually buy the traps because of the fact that he feels comfortable in predicting where the enemy is going to be, just based on rotations and things like and the state of the game. But with a Taka, none of that matters. It doesn't matter if you know where he is. If you can't see him, you still can't hurt him.
Yeah, you're going to need to rely on some skill shots, a little bit of luck, and, well, that's why we have vision items. So, pushing it into the lane, Old School Ezadok showing themselves. Not really a clue as to where that Taka is. Doesn't matter, though. Hook into root. Old School Von C, is he getting the kill? It's down to the wire. And we even throw out the reflex block at the end of it. Old School will still continue to live, and we're struggling to find our third kill here at the 11-minute mark.
Yeah, 1-1 thus far. Status Baked, he jumps in aggressively. Could be about to pay for it, though, but he's getting a lot of damage on the best Chuck.
Oh, and that Suri Strike just barely missing. Status Baked, dude, he just given a kill from Best Chuck? No, Status! Oh, the X-Retsu, he was so close, right in front of his face. Drops dead to the shots, and now Ezidox is here. They are looking for a revenge, but over the wall, Best Chuck's cutting off an escape, and Ezidox has to go wide. Old School going the other way. Will they take down Von C? It's gonna get close to 80%. Is really showing its colors, and with one more roll, that is it. Von C just fighting to his heart's content.
Not just the 80%, but that little bit of fortified health thanks to the polite company of Finn, completely saving Von C's life and allowing Team Solomid to pick up 2 kills in that skirmish. And even though they have only a 2-kill advantage, they are up by about 1,000 gold, and that's not just from the kills. That's just from a slight gold lead in terms of farming. Neither side has really had a chance to even look at this gold miner. It has been a very, very close contest in the first 12 minutes of this game. We'll have to see. One team fight is all it takes when a game is this close. If one side gets a 3-for-0 ace, it just completely breaks the doors down and opens everything wide open. We'll have to see if either team can manage to pull that off.
Oh, Von C just gets spot out by that flare at the last moment, but if you stack up like this, Von C is going to really start doing some damage. He is going to do a swing and a miss, though, at that Lance advance, but now that's the hook! Now we don't actually have the route to go for it, but the Death from above cuts off escape, and now Old School is going to have to run for this one. Von C unlucky on that last shot, but still, that's our 5th kill of the game, and now I don't even think we need that 3-0 ace. I think with this, we could rotate, pick up that gold mine, maybe even push turret. Old School's already down under half. If he's caught and he's now down less than that, I think this actually could be a big turnaround here for TSM.
Von C, he wants to just continue fighting, but they're going to go underneath the turret, try and get that extra 300 gold per player, but they aren't able to secure it. They do rotate down to the jungle. Like you said, they could go for this gold mine, but without knowing that Old School went back to base, it's just a little bit too risky for TSM, and they are going to hold off and see so many scout traps across the fold. Both sides really vying for that vision. I mean, while Team Solomid wants to put it down in order to spot Taka, you've then got on the other side, Phoenix Rain, trying to put down their own vision just to clear out those traps to make Taka's life easier.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, it's 2 sides of the coin right there. Somebody's got to be picking up what you're putting down. So, 1 kill for Reborn, Rain. For a 2nd place team coming in from the Spring Championship, they're definitely looking like they're struggling a little bit here. But no, this is not where you want to fight. Von C will just absolutely tear right through you there. But TSM, they're just going to fake it out. They're not going to turn it right back around. If we get a pull on top of any of these traps, and Flash X has quite a few of them to pull from here, this could be some significant damage and just tearing apart the Rain lineup.
Yeah, but Best Chuck NA, he's down to half health. That means Team Solomid is not going to be looking for a fight. Instead, they're just going to try and hold off this potential push from Phoenix Rain. But Von C, he has no fear and is going in deep. He gets taken down to about half, and now all of TSM, they need to be very careful.
I feel one route is the setup. No, Flash, you threw out the anchor. One route into the anchor, into the death from above, and you can just tear down Rain right here and there, but the cooldowns are not going to be agreeing, not right now. And that level 9 Flash X monster will just continue to wait for that next opportunity. Here comes Rain, though, from behind. Bonsi, what is, again, the big target right there, but Chuck is on the wrong side of this one. Suri Strike just not near wide enough to get to safety. That is finally another kill here for Rain.
Nice job by Rain to separate the team of TSM and able to keep Best Chuck away from his two teammates. Another forced accord does not connect, and that's going to be Rain able to get out of there. They get the kill, and you can see Status Baked. He is working on these back camps, just cleaning up the map and trying to steal away that gold from TSM. Von C, he cannot be happy right now because he has just not been able to contest anywhere near as many jungle camps as he would like. He does have a lead in terms of farm, but he is not controlling the game in the way that we know he likes to do.
So Bacon, correct me if I'm wrong, this was a 0 gold miner game.
Yes, it is. There was not a single gold mine taken.
We'll come back to that one since the Kraken is here, but death from above, so we've had some hooks, and unfortunately it's just, swing and a miss, and TSM not doing the damage, not controlling these fights, as he said. Old School is going to do the right move right there, and he is going to get out of that damage line to Chuck, but, Chuck is very tenacious. Old School is now out of this one. Status Bait comes in for some interference, and Ezidox, he is out, but that is a dead fox right there. You get a 9 lives as a cat, but it is not true for a fox.
Yeah, Best Chuck NA has 3 weapons, three crystal items completed, and now another fight is happening. That is so much damage being traded back and forth.
And another just wide anchor from Flash. If he had hit even one of these, I feel the game could have been so much different by now, but we are staying very nimble on the feet here from Rain. They are very conscious that if there's a fin moving forward, there's probably a hook being just catapulted over that shoulder, and they are doing an excellent job of just not being where it lands.
Yeah, really good job of dodging out those skill shots. Unfortunately, they can't say the same about these forward barrages. Best Chuck NA has been connecting so consistently, and that's the reason why he has 4 of the team's 5 kills. And it's really a lot of Team Solo Mid's game this time around is going to be resting on Best Chuck's solo shoulders, because Von C, while it is the weapon lance, just really hasn't seemed to have enough damage or enough impact in these fights to really do much more than be kind of a nuisance or just an extra shield wall to have to burn through before you can get to Best Chuck.
I think it's a fantastic concept, right? You know, heavy weapon damage, good burst, good control, good clear time, but as Von C is showing us, as Fury is showing us, if you can't land those roots, a lot of that theory goes out the window, and so far again, Old School, he goes free, finally an anchor, but there's nothing to really follow. There's the hook, but that's the root, but Ezidox still doesn't even go down. In fact, it's Von C now dead on the floor, and that's just not going to be a Flash one-on-one for a kill. Now it's Status Bake looking for Chuck, but Chuck is doing the work, and now Ezidox is getting involved. Do we have the space? Yep, that's going to be the Suri right through the gauntlet. It did not connect in time. Status Bake's coming in. He gets found. The Suri strike is enough. That's a 2-kill return. And now Chuck, he is actually getting that stun. Old School cannot clean this up.
Oh,
You're
my
kidding
goodness.
me. An ace from that. This is absolutely outstanding.
Best Chuck NA with the 1v3, picking up all 3 members of Phoenix Rain on his own. Absolutely incredible sky play coming out of him. We didn't see him much in the last season of the qualifiers or the Spring Championship. Didn't play at all at the Spring Championships, but Best Chuck NA, after having that season off, he is coming back with a vengeance on this new team, and he's got to be getting all sorts of praise from Flash X and Von C right now, because he may have just swung the game in their favor.
4-1-1 into the 7-kill situation. You see Best Chuck NA easily earning that name. I don't know any Chucks better than this guy right now, but here comes that Kraken. That is going to be a turret still standing, but Ezidox, they're trying to make this happen, but they don't have a gauntlet. 30 seconds still down. Chuck is going to be a huge target after that ace does happen, and once more, Von C, he's getting kited. Old School is being a heck of a nuisance, a big thorn in his foot, and Von C just cannot land these roots. There goes the wait for it. Von C's on the retreat. The turret is down from that Kraken, and Best Chuck, he is once more being that big target. Von C is gonna drop, yep, and here's Old School looking for revenge. He picks up 2, and now Flash, he is just gonna be hunted down like the river troll he is. Status Baked, Gave up. All right, too easy. But they do have a Kraken to deal with, so we'll give them a pass.
Yeah, it's not worth trying to chase down the Finn. If Kraken would just be able to take down this turret, guaranteed, which it looks like she may be able to do so anyway. Yeah, she's going to get that third turret down. There's no more lane turrets left. That will be all that Kraken gets, but a nice couple of turrets picked up on that push because of the fact that Team Soul Mid were able to keep that fight delayed for so long. Best Chuggane was dancing around that fight like crazy. It is so difficult to actually lock him down, but unfortunately for him and the rest of his team, the side of Phoenix Rain, they were eventually able to take down that Sky. And look at these scout traps. There are so many, but a whole mess of them are going to get popped, and this is going to just make life a lot easier for Rain as they continue to clear it out, but they didn't get anywhere near all of them. That's how many traps were down.
And the contraption, again, has paid itself way too many times over at this point. Now, we are threatening this back door. It's not really too much if you know it's coming, I guess. But that is going to be focusing now into a fight. So, is TSM looking for this fight from behind? Bonsi's right there. He has that guard up. The caboose is under attack by Best Chuck. He has to deal with this pressure. And again, status fake. This is what he's supposed to be doing. He's supposed to get into that back, and he's supposed to put up that pressure. Vonsi trying for the peel. The gauntlet goes up, but there's no one in it. Best Chuck's on the outside. Vonsi is exactly where he wants to be. Flash can just go right through it. Now Hezedox, he's the one coming low. We are trading off hit points fast and furious with those gauntlets coming out. Now that's the fountain. The rest of Rain is doing good. Chuck is dead in the water, and Flash has nowhere to go. This is leaving Vonsi to sound the retreat, and we are still holding here for Rain.
Yeah, that was a really great job by Status Baked. He dove in onto Best Chuck and took him down low right off the bat. It forced Chuck to then have to try and dance around on the outside. Those Suri strikes were not able to go over the enemy team. He couldn't do any damage with the Suri strikes. It was all just repositioning and trying to find angles for that forward barrage. But most of his forward barrages were not connecting because of the fact that he couldn't get into the positions he really wanted to if he had more health. Phoenix Rain end up taking the fight, and they don't get the ace, but they are going to get a Kraken for themselves. They still have 4 turrets to work through, though. This is not game over just yet, unless they get another team fight victory.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to say that TSM won't be able to hold this one simply because, yeah, they do have, those buffers, the turrets still ready to go. Somebody in chat said no fear, just Chuck. I think that's fantastic.
We've seen TSM with Krakens being taken go for a party bush before, but they do not opt to do it this time. They just want to do a straight defense, and you can see immediately Phoenix Rain, they go up into that brush to double check and make sure it wasn't happening. But now with Kraken getting in onto these turrets, will we see a fight start up, or will they just try and delay TSM from getting onto the Kraken? Here they come. They could be going for a fight on this third and final lane turret. This is where so much action happens.
All right, death from above. It will clip that Kraken. It's keeping these guys at bay, at least for now. The turret, it's going down very quickly. Vonsi's already getting chunked out. He's going to be retreating. And Best Chuck is kind of in the same boat. He's trying to just keep these guys at bay. But if you go too far forward, this could be it. Flash, no fear himself. He's the one now on that front line. And Vonsi's come back into it. But again, need to start getting these hits. A good block from Vonsi. That's out of the gauntlet. And the one turret is down because not only is it Kraken, it's Status Fake just trying to remove these obstacles. And the fight is just fragmented everywhere. Status Fake comes back in. That's the other turret. Kraken is now on this crystal, and nobody is dead here from TSM. We've lost out Status Fake, but could they anchor the stun? They're trying to keep Old School from it, but I think that's it. Their last hit is good. TSM is suffering their first loss here in the Evil 8.
Yeah, great job by Phoenix Rain. It was a close game all the way through to the finish. Even at the end, the gold totals were nearly identical. It was, I think, maybe 1,000 gold or 2,000 separated them when all was said and done. But Phoenix Rain are the ones who stand victorious and earn themselves their first point in the Evil 8. We will have at least one more game, but if Phoenix Rain take this 2-0, then Team Solo Mid will be knocked out in the first round of the first Evil 8. Definitely not where they want to be, not a position anyone wants to be in, but let alone a franchise as storied as Team Solo Mid is.
Well, we're going to have to see if next game Chuck brings out these plays. I might nominate him for co-owner of the Highlight Factory, but geez, what a game number 1. Rain, however, they get that win. So guys at the desk, I mean, I didn't see that one coming. Not after that ace, man.
I didn't see it coming either. We were kind of sitting here after that best Chuck NA play thinking, okay, so we've got our MVP for the series. He's an absolute monster, but the comeback was very strong from Rain. I feel like they just needed to deal with Best Chuck, and they could beat TSM. That was kind of the only ingredient they needed.
My favorite part of that game, no one else got to witness, when Zekent came running around the corner with his hands on his head, just like mind blown on Best Chuck and A's plays there. A phenomenal fight out of Best Chuck, but at the end of the day, if that Sky went down, everything seemed to fall apart for that team, and it just makes a lot of sense. You know, Von C could only do so much work on that Lance. Yeah, he's living through these fights. Yeah, he's trying to peel, but just not enough.
See, that's the next thing I wanted to touch on. I think draft-wise, you should put Von C on something that can carry a little bit harder. He is just so strong on something like the Kestrel. Obviously, it was banned in this game, but Lance doesn't have the sort of playmaking potential that a Kestrel does. And I think that's what Von C really has the ability
These are the kind of things that teams have to work out. As you know, you're in week 1 right here, new roster. They're going to be figuring it all out. So let's see if they go for something different. Taka will be banned right off the bat. They don't want to deal with it. Lyra's the ban. This leaves TSM open to quite a few different things. Oh. You heard Jackson whisper the Kestrel, but they're actually going to go for the Vox. They want to take this Vox away from Rain. I think a pretty smart move on their part. We'll see if they pick up this Kestrel later.
Well, Rain could potentially lock it in with something like a Finn here, and that would be a very reasonable first rotation for them. I do think they need something that can more directly deal with the Vox, though. Looks like Sky is going to be their first pick. I guess you don't want Best Chuck NA playing that again?
Yeah, I don't know if that would be the case. I mean, it's actually tough to say, but I do think the Finn is a smart pickup here. They've got the Sky. Very curious to see what they decide to pair up with it. Across the board, though, TSM, I imagine they're going to go for the Lance. Maybe they'll go for the Arden as they look to round this composition out. With Taka out, you need something that's going to be able to gap close onto Sky, something that's going to have damage output potential. You're thinking Alpha, thinking Glaive.
Well, Alpha is going to be one of the pickups actually for Team Solo Mid, along with Lance. I like this composition a lot better than the one that they ran the last game, actually. I think Von C is better suited to this.
Yeah, okay.
And that to me means a better composition.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, we'll see how it's all going to play out here. Phoenix Rain, we'll go ahead and lock in that Glaive at the end. So they do have a physical damage. They're going to have some crystal damage coming out as well. Pretty balanced composition right there. Pretty straightforward across the board. I think TSM, a lot of pressure on them right now to move forward in this series right here. Jackson, do you have predictions on it?
Predictions, I think that Rain will take this, actually.
You do?
I think their comp is really well suited to them as a team, and I think that Team Solo Mid, although they have a good composition, won't be able to deal with the Alpha. That's my expectation.
Definitely. I think it all comes down to positioning right here. If there's spread out fights, I think you're going to see Rain winning those. If they're running backwards, they're losing the fight. It's an Alpha. We've said it before. So clumped up fights, I look for the advantage over on TSM.
All right, well, this could be the final game of our first week of the Evil 8. To take us through it, Forecourt Jester and Tasty Bacon are going to go through all the action.
So I saw this draft. It's like Von C on Lance, maybe, but no. Bacon. It's Alpha. And Alpha is something that they actually tried back in spring, but now the meta shifted. Could this actually work?
Yeah, I definitely think it could. Von C on Alpha is something I have wanted to see in competitive play for a while now. I got to see it in a couple of smaller tournaments that I was casting at the time when Alpha very first came out, like literally the first weekend that she was out, and he was playing her and just absolutely decimating people with it. It fits his playstyle so incredibly well. I cannot wait to see what he does with this hero. I expect it to be a weapon Alpha as well, along with the Crystal Vox for Best Chuck. So if that's what happens, it could be a composition that snowballs very quickly.
Well, if that's going to be the case, then we're going to be treated here to a game number 3. But, you know, that's up to the players to really show us the power of these picks. And so far, Flash, he's just kind of hanging out here in lane. Don't think he's actually been noticed, but with that level 2, if he gets the roots, and, well, we'll just abandon the rest of that.
Yeah, definitely. If that root had connected, it may have been a totally different story, but I don't think they still would have had enough to get the kill. Not quite, because it is still an early game Vox. It just rarely doesn't have enough. However, they are giving a lot of solo experience to Von C.
Yep.
Could be that hyper leveling that we've been seeing in other games. And Von C definitely a willing recipient of that treatment.
Well, you had a good call there, Bacon. It does look like it will be that weapon for Von C, but into the lane, look at this 3-man. They're coming in, they're looking for Flash, and it's going to bring him low. Von C actually comes in for the interference call, but we are just not there for the damage value yet. So either way, they're just going to bounce for now. And Von C, we've seen this actually like with Takas, for example. They go for some pretty heavy defense early on. He's gone one of each. He has an armor and a shield early on.
Yeah, an armor and a shield and a weapon blade. So really spreading his resources around quite widely. But this is going to allow him to clear the jungle incredibly quickly. You can see just how fast those jungle camps go down. Just a couple of swings, and he's on to the next one. Using that that protocol, why did I just draw a blank? Prime Directive.
Yes,
Using the Prime Directive, thank you very much, Chester, to go ahead and move from camp to camp very, very quickly. Could even be faster clears than Fuji had on Lance if he's allowed free reign.
Well, speaking of rain, I mean, they are really showing a big show of force into this lane. Now, Von C comes in from the side, does actually land some damage, and even a little bit more there on top of Old School, but he's going to be dropping low. He doesn't want to get too low, too far forward into that infinite reboot state. He could actually just be a sitting duck, but still, they measure it, they get that damage, and Von C is really out for that blood, but it's just too early. I mean, Just Chuck and A at this point only has the prism, or not the prism, the crystal. So either way, I love the aggression, but I just don't see it happening this early.
Yeah, this is definitely a late game oriented composition for Team Solo Mid, but you can see both junglers going into their opponent's jungle to farm up those back camps. A lot of damage has been done onto Ezodox on this spin, but Best Chuck and A and Flashjax, both roamers actually going to be sticking around in the lane quite a bit. And it's a nice answer by Rain, but here comes Status Baked immediately getting stunted back to where he came from. Meanwhile, Von C, oh, this could be troublesome.
Yeah, looking for the root. It's not going to be a hit right there. And, well, Von C still gets one, so that's going to be the first blood. He throws out the Prime Directive for, maybe luck, but Status Baked just nowhere near it. And Von C, look at them. They're looking for this invade immediately. Say, all right, we got the man advantage. And Von C still actually has his infinite reboot ready to go. So even if he drops, Flash might be able to just crowd control his opponents away.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because of the fact that, again, Von C, when he does drop, you have to basically go through another health bar to take him out fully. And if he gets back up in the middle of a fight on the weapon alpha, it just immediately starts wreaking havoc. And so it's something that Phoenix Rain, they're going to have to be very, very wary of. If they do manage to drop Von C down into that rebooting state, then they need to either jump on him immediately and get him actually take him down, or get themselves away from that body.
It feels like that Lance is just such a volatile pick right now. It's a super strong theory, but the evidence of the practice is just kind of like in the pudding at this point, because we do not have a positive win rate with Lance on either side of the ocean, do we?
It's definitely not in Europe. I know Europe actually had a
like
very poor win rate. I think it was 1-5, 1-4. And over here in North America, he's faring a little bit better, about a 50% win rate thus far. So it's definitely a pick that it's still kind of up in the air. I think a lot of people are still kind of adjusting and getting used to the hero in terms of the 119 meta.
All right. Well, I mean, it's all up to the players. I like to say that. And Flash, so far, I just haven't really seen those game-changing routes, but not really the only one in that category. So we'll have to see. Status Baked now living in the opponent's jungle more often than his own because Von C's doing the same back. Not huge advantages either way, and our laners have actually been fairly safe. So we are going to be entering those level 6 stages here fairly soon.
I gave a little laugh because Flash X actually managed to steal away one of the jungle minions from Status Bake, but meanwhile up in the lane, that is a kill picked up by Von C and Best Chuck, and they almost got another one onto Ezidox. Von C, I don't think he's going to give this one up that easily, but he doesn't have that Prime Directive just off cooldown yet to go in and try and secure that kill.
And Flash this whole time not dying to Status Baked, but he's not killing Status Baked either. It's more of a time-wasting situation at this point, and, you know, Status, at this rate, you might as well just stay on the side of the jungle, because we're about to have those backs respawn. So, a little bit of action here, a little bit of action there, because everything is also tied up, though. The gold miner going down at a pretty consistent pace, and that is going to be a nice gold payout to TSM.
Yeah, the other thing to keep note of is the fact that TSM, they have the only minion mine to be taken thus far. It means that when a skirmish breaks out, they actually have the advantage in the lane. It's not going to be for long, as Phoenix Rain are taking the gold mine on their side of the jungle back, and Von C is going to go ahead and grab his own. But it could have been a factor in that trade that happened up in the lane, where Team Mid were able to pick up a kill. Their minions were just flat out doing more damage to their opponents.
Absolutely, sir. No, it's a point to you right there. And of course, you know, as you talk about it, we've corrected said 0.11 now for the minion mines as they trade out. Flash X has once again gone for contraption. I am mind blown. But, you know, at this point, Ezidox is getting blown away because Von C comes in. He gets that AoE, he gets the burst. Here's the wait for it on top of it as well. Is Von C, no fear, no fight, going to go right under this tower? It's very possible still. He has the cooldowns. Nope, they are not. Old School so far forward. Are they just not going to fight that one? Here goes Status Bake. They're looking for the kill on top of Chuck. Von C to the rescue, but he gets punted away, and it's just not enough. Right outside that range, Best Chuck does a Matrix move. It goes right over his head. He gets the kill, and now Old School, he could actually still go down here.
Yeah, Von C just does not care, going right underneath the turret, and this is what that weapon Alpha is capable of. Look, he's going in with the Prime Directive to pop it on the turret and get that turret taken down, allowing him to then respawn on the spot. A phenomenal play from Von C on this Alpha. He has the Sorrow Blade. The damage is coming through now, and he's starting to get to the point, along with Best Chuck and A, where they can start wreaking havoc over the side of Phoenix Rain. This is not looking good for them.
Now, having that death from above to stop the advances of the Alpha, I thought Old School, you know, he might actually be able to get away out of that one. And then you just use Prime Directive to get around it using the turret. And he didn't actually really have a choice. The Termination Protocol popped because the turret forced it to pop. But either way, I mean, phenomenal moves either way. And Von C, man, 302, 100% kill participation, showing us the way of this weapon Alpha.
Yeah, absolutely. 302, like you mentioned, 66 farm, out farming Status Baked by about 15 or so, and it's adding up to a 3,000 to 4,000 gold lead for Team Solo Mid. Best Chuck and A also has about a 10 CS lead over Old School, and now you can see Von C working on this gold mine. He is getting taken down pretty low in the process, but he's still able to just about solo it. He wanted that the Prime Directive onto that healing camp, but it was pulled away very wisely by Phoenix Rain.
Yeah, smart move there from Status Bake. Does secure him that gold, but in terms of the gold, 4,000 between them. Oh, there's a root. Flash X showing us that power right there. Ezidox, I have to say, is going to be hard-pressed to get out of this one, but he does pop out the boost. Von C does not care. That's actually a kill for Flash coming in, and now that turret is going to be low, but it's not enough for the kill. Von C's going back in. He has no ult. He has no ult, and he gets shunted into the turret. He will actually live through it. Now here comes the Cavalry. That is it. Status Bake has nothing left in the tank, and Von C will get the kill.
Von C, that is the pure definition of no fear, just fight. Going in with almost no health, knowing you have that infinite reboot ready, and now it's going to be another turret. He needs to be careful. He is very low. Doesn't have that reboot anymore, and this could be a kill.
He has no ult ready to go.
Goodness.
No termination. He was going for old school. The turret was actually still up. That's why he didn't land right next to him. He actually landed just to the top right of that turret. So Vonsi, a little bit of a mistiming right there. Maybe underestimated the damage output of TSM in this round, but I mean, the plays are clearly there. 8-0, another gold mine. Well, maybe later on. I kind of assumed on that one, but they do have 2 in their belt. And 12 minutes in, like game number 1 was 0 gold mines. This time 2 under TSM, and just, I mean, it's looking like a turnaround game, right?
Yeah, 8-0 thus far at 12 minutes, and Vonsi is just looking massive on this alpha. Has the bone saw completed as well. 3 items finished for Best Chuck NA. They are just doing incredibly well for themselves. But now a bit of a miscue there, but they are still getting so much damage down. A nice stun.
Yeah, Vonsi is going to be dropping low, and he's just going to get put right back. Status Fake not having any of that termination protocol, so this will reset the aggression, and well, this is now where I feel that Rain, if they have a little bit of gold, if they can finish up an item or 2, they gotta press advantage, because Vonsi has no safety net now.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things about the glaive into alpha, is when that ultimate is popped, or when the the shield comes up for that termination protocol, you can just knock alpha away from your team, and if she doesn't have that prime directive up, she cannot get back in.
Vonsi say no more of that. Has a Aegis.
Yeah, that's gonna make things a lot more difficult, not only to avoid the afterburn, but also can dodge out the well, I don't think he'd even want to dodge a fin hook at this point because he wants to be in the enemy's face, but can use that shield on the death from above or anything like that. So it's going to be all the more difficult to take down Vonsi, and it looks like Team Solo Mid want to fight.
Flash X is holding on to that root. He's looking for somebody else other than Ezidox to hit with that Status Fake. If he can get peeled right here, Best Chuck can take him to town. And Flashy is going to be doing his best. Vonsi into the back. It looks like Ezidox is going to be the first one to go down. And Vonsi, he gets a shield. He has a fountain ticking on top of that as well. The termination's back up. And Status Fake, that's okay, never mind. He has the afterburn hit. I was going to say that's going to be it for our glaive, and it still very well might be. Best Chuck, will he trade out? He comes down to the inch of his life, but he will live through it. And that is a 2-0 turnaround. We are still at perfect game situation for TSM.
Yep, still able to go without a death. The gold mine is going to be taken by Kraken very shortly, only about 45 seconds. Vonsi is clearing out this camp. I would expect to see them go for the gold miner here just to get that last payout before Kraken spawns, but it looks like it's just not enough for them to find
I'm going 2-0 for that kill, unless we have a steal up the sleeve of Old School. This is going to be a Kraken coming down on top of Phoenix Rain.
Yeah, it looks like Old School is not even going to try this one, so he goes back to base. He'd have to get out there very, very quickly, and he's not going to have a chance. Kraken is going to be taken by Team Solo Mid. They have 3 turrets to go through. If they win a fight, it's game over. This is a very common situation for Team Solo Mid. New players, but a familiar situation. It's not quite the TSM special of having 4 turrets to go through, but if they can pick up a team fight victory, it will be the game, and we will have a game 3 to finish off the day.
No, Old School maybe a little bit too far forward. Vonsi is going to find him and get some damage down, but Best Chuck is just getting absolutely zerged right down. Status Fake not giving him any breathing room, and Vonsi is doing the same here to Old School. That's another death from above. Vonsi just turns it right around. Flash is still trying to do his best for the healing, and the silence goes right through. Vox gets the kill. Status Fake gets the return. Vonsi will come back from the computer dead, and Flash with those auto attacks. 1 and 2. We have a dead River Troll, and the slows. Flash will eventually, maybe, possibly get this ace. He gets it.
He does somehow finish it off, and with that Kraken still nearly full health, Von C in the base working on these turrets. Old School is going to respawn, but he is not going to be able to do enough on his own. This is going to be Team Solo Mid coming back with a vengeance and pushing us to a Game 3. What better way to close out the first night of the Evil 8 than with a Game 3 between Team Phoenix and Team Solo Mid.
2 kills in 18 minutes. One going to Status Fake, the other to Old School, just kind of taking advantage of the carcass that was the old casing of Von C. But by the end of it all, big things just stand out to me. Von C on this team fits, I think, perfect aggression to go with Best Chuck and A. They just gel so well. And Flash and the Vision game, double contraptions, one in Game 1, now here in Game 2. It's like a whole new team, man.
Yeah, Flash X definitely adapting his playstyle to his new teammates and just adapting to what's needed. I think he's finally realized that there's so many dynamic players at the top tier that you can't always predict where the opponents are going to be at every point in the game. So the Vision starting to finally play a role in the Team Solo Mid strategy, and it's, already a very early adaptation in this new season. We'll have to see what else they can do, but they still have another game to play to see who is going to have the opportunity to earn more than just the 2 points from this series.
Before we hand it back to the desk here, guys, I just want to make a note. You are watching like the top of the tier of North America. And how do you get to that top tier? You play all the heroes. If you don't have the ice, well, Amazon Coins got your back, because 25% of almost every day, Amazon.com/Vainglory. Get into this competitive stuff, guys, and use those coins to your advantage.
Well, you know what they say. Even if you have pork loin from Des Moines, it's still not as good as Amazon Coin.
Clearly. All right, AJ, I don't know how to follow that up, brother.
All right, I actually don't know how to follow that one up either, so let's just talk about the game instead, right? That seems like a reasonable thing to do, seeing as we're meant to be analyzing stuff.
Let's get it done.
Storyline of that game for me, Von C. Why wasn't he on something like this in Game 1? Like,
well, let me just tap into Flash's conscience real quickly here. I don't know. That is just like the Game 1. That's not a Von C hero. Maybe it will become a Von C hero. We're going to get some rocket boosters for Lance and make him super fast and aggressive. But honestly, on this alpha, that is what we like to see for Von C. Let him be aggressive. Let him find these kills. And on a hero like Alpha, that's where you can go in solo and find those kind of kills. He created so much space that you could just farm in lane. You could do whatever you wanted.
I feel like with Von C, compositionally, sometimes you need to have a tanky frontline. By the way, we're into the draft, so let's bring that up on your screens. Sometimes compositionally, you need to have a frontliner as one of your either laners or junglers.
Right.
So maybe he needs to fill that role. But you've got to give him one that has damage, like a glaive or an alpha. Like those kinds of things make sense to me for him.
That's what all these
so
teams are figuring out right now. And I think you touched on really good points there. But TSM, they're figuring it out on the fly. We have a Lyra pickup here for Phoenix Rain as it gets through the draft. And TSM very quickly pick up the Fen. They pick up the Vox. So how will they round this out here? We have Alpha in the pool, we do have Taka and Glaive as well, but we know Rain has been picking up both of these for status picked, so let's see if they deny one of these away right now. They're highlighted on the Alpha, this would make a lot of sense.
Alpha would be an interesting pick here. They're actually going to lock in the Arden though, so Lyra, this is a hard one to call. Lyra could be flex, or Arden could be flex, we don't know.
I feel that Lyra's the stronger choice.
To flex into lane or to roam?
To go into lane.
Okay.
I mean, you can take it.
I'm not saying Arden would go into lane. I'm saying he might jungle.
However you want. He jacked his hands and just up in the air right now.
I don't know what they're doing. I mean, they could put these heroes anywhere.
They really could. You're going to have good range up against the Vox, though. That's one thing that you can keep in mind. Status Baked, he's got Taka. This is going to be a great tool for them. And but, I mean, you have the Saw, you have the Vox. This is going to be a really fun lineup here.
Okay, so I think that the lineup they're going for is probably the most normal, right? So the Lyra in lane, Ezidox playing the Arden as the roamer, and then actually putting the Taka in the jungle. That's probably like the most normal way of playing that composition.
Right.
It looks like what they're going to be doing based on who selected which hero. Mm-hmm. On the flip side, how do you feel like the composition coming out from Phoenix is going to do here?
I think if they get away with it...
Sorry, coming out from TSM.
Yeah. If they get away with it, I think it's going to be okay. But you take Von C down into the jungle with the Saw. You're going up against the Taka. It could work out. If they run into each other and he's spun up, Taka gets revealed, you're gonna kill him.
That's
okay?
true.
Now, if you run into the Taka, you're not spun up, and you don't have a polite company ready to go. Yeah, rip Saw. So it's tough. It's really kind of on those dependent factors there.
Okay, so we've got another brief technical difficulty. Very sorry that this keeps happening, but we are going to be into the game very shortly. Have a little bit more time to talk about the compositions. What I would like to hear from you, actually, is how Lyra is going to interact with the Arden and with the Taka, because this is not a lineup that we've seen before. We've seen Lyra with a lot of glaives, less so with the Taka and with the Arden.
Well, the deal is right here, you're going to actually be able to get in and out of fights incredibly well. They can do really cool things where you have, for example, you can isolate an area with Gauntlet and then lay a portal down where you can in and out of the Gauntlet very easily.
That's true.
You can put it into a situation where people want to chase you, drop a Gauntlet as well, and they control so much area. Gauntlet down with Lyra's B down, you can't really do anything within that area.
It's going to be really hard for people to get away from Taka in a Bright Bulwark as well.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
there's a lot of options here. We are on to the Halcyon Fold, ladies and gentlemen, so for the final time for the first night, we're going to pass it over to our shoutcasters, Forecourt Jester and Tasty Bacon.
Been a long, strange journey, but here we are in one of our multiple game 3s, and Von C is playing Saw. I'm just gonna throw all my notes out the window here, Bacon.
I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't think I've ever seen Von C play Saw before, so I guess we'll have to see. We're in for a treat. It's up against Old School's Lyra, only the second Lyra we've seen in all of North America, because she has been banned in every other game on this side of the ocean. So we'll have to see if Team Solo Mid have the answer for this pick, or will Phoenix Rain be able to overcome the Von C Saw? It just feels strange to say.
Von C Saw? Oh, damn it, Bacon. All right, fair enough. Oh, is this going to be a crystal? It is. He's going for the shanks, the touchdowns. I am super excited about this game because not only, as you said, Lyra, first game here, NA, so many bans, but she's not even the roam here. She's going to be that laner, Old School, like a double Vainglorious Gold placement last season. Now coming in, I think it was, what, the third Vainglorious Gold here, now in 119. It's the hands of Lyra, but I don't know who to root for. Is it that, or is it a Crystal Saw?
I don't know. I think... I have no idea. It's going to be, I mean, this game is just going to be so back and forth. I expect either that or one team's just going to completely dominate the other and just get a massive lead built up. But we'll have to see how it plays out. I've been wondering when someone was going to run this lane Lyra. It's actually the way, if I happen to get Lyra in a game, I almost always run her in the lane if I can, because it is just so much fun.
Yeah, and having, like... It feels a lot like Celeste. You know, you're a glass cannon into the back, but you hit so hard, and you have to really use the skill shots on this one. That passive auto attack cannon, just huge burst by the end of it, and it grows with your crystal anyway. So TSM, they're really trying to keep tabs here on Rain. They are really keeping him on the back foot and clamped right up against that turret, but Status Baked, he is on this Taka, and again, aggression is his middle name. This is a great fit for him.
Yeah, and getting some energy regen is going to be incredibly important for Old School, because every single one of those secondary attacks when you stand still with that perk do cost energy. So she goes through energy very, very quickly in a skirmish, and even while just farming. So we'll have to keep an eye on that energy bar. If she's low on energy, great time to engage, because she just becomes significantly weaker. Meanwhile, Von Z having to use that roadie run just to try and get out of trouble.
Yeah, but Status Big, he's very, very, very hard at work trying to take down Von C, but it's just not enough yet. Von C actually, he's still going to get discovered. Nope, Status Big, nope, not enough, but Best Chuck is still dealing with Old School. Flash is still there, and, well, they have to know that the farm is just going over to Rain now.
Yeah, it's going to be the back, at least the doubles being stolen. Will they stick around for the healing camp? It looks like they want to. Von C has rejoined, but he's going to be taking a ton of damage.
Yep, just speeds up. There's the roadie. Did he get that farm? It's hard to tell. I wasn't actually looking for the number.
I couldn't. I was looking to see the damage he was going to do to status because I thought he was going to hit Taka, so I didn't actually see it myself either. But it looks like it did go over to Von C because he has like that little healing animation underneath him. So I'm pretty sure he did secure it. I mean, it's kind of tough not to secure the last hit when you use a roadie run on it as a crystal saw.
No, you're right. Now here comes Status Baked again. They are going to find Von C in this minion mine. Von C's now got to make a choice, and the choice is good. He's going to get that minion mine, but he will pay for it. Easy peasy. The kill actually goes to Ezidox for the first blood. Not who you really want to put it on, but now Flash, could he be the second? Chuck, you're going to be third if you keep going that way. But he's looking to invade, I suppose.
Yeah, he's going to be trying to steal away some of those backs. The right decision was made by Von C in taking that minion mine and giving himself up as a kill. The 150 gold from the minion mine is worth more than the kill value that he gave up as a result. So Best Chuck NA, he goes deep into the enemy jungle, cakes away those camps, while Von C just goes up into the lane and clears off these before they go to naught. So a good job on the rotations by Team Solo Mid.
So, eyes do not deceive me. That was 4-minute, 40-second or so Fountain of Renewal.
Yep.
He even beat Old School to the... Sorry, Old School? No, he even beat Best Chuck NA to the alternating current.
That's the style from Flash X that we are so used to see. What? I didn't even see what happened there.
Flash was like on his deathbed and got infusions of health. I thought maybe he was actually going to walk away on that one, but no, he is going to be dead in the water. Now we actually have the fountain there for Ezidox, but you know that. He obviously popped the fountain. That's exactly the reason. Wow. All right, it's been a long day.
We were just talking about it, so.
Yep, my bad. lay it on me there, Twitch chat. Lay it on me.
But either way, right now, Phoenix Rain with the first 2 kills of the game. They do have about a 500 gold lead in the first 6 minutes or so. And
he's dead.
Yep. Von C not able to make it happen, trying to go for those aggressive invades. Does get found once more. And now Best Chuck NA, he is in a world of trouble, but he will get the help thanks to Flash X.
Yeah, so close though. Old School, one more step could have actually been the difference there with that cannon coming through on the auto attacks, but Chuck will live through it. Von C, it doesn't feel like a Von C game, does it? Like, he's securing objectives, but he's dying, and he's at 27 farm to the 37 of Status Baked. It's not feeling particularly effective.
Well, like we said, everyone I think was surprised when we saw
Status
Von
1
C
and 2
was playing Saw.
He's trying to steal out this farm. Von C's not having any of it. He did not get those backs. Von C did run into a sandwich.
Yeah, that's gonna be Von C falling once more, his 3rd death of the game already. And like I was saying, I think everyone was surprised when we saw that it was Von C on the Saw, because it is not. I mean, we were just talking about Von C heroes versus non-Von C heroes, and I'd have to say right now this Saw is definitely looking like a non-Von C hero.
Yeah, it's not feeling like it's a good TSM tempo right now. I mean, Flash X getting that fountain early, I had some hopes for fights, but Von C is just continuously getting just run out of his own jungle here by Status Baked. I mean, Taka is sitting at level 8. Von C just hit 6, has that ult ready to go, but between the Xretsu and this weapon power, I mean, Status can just basically do this all day.
Yeah, and he's building a lot of weapon power early. He did pick up a tier 1 of both defensive items, but that's it. He didn't go heavily prioritizing the defense. Meanwhile, up in the lane, a bit of trading, TSM trying to take advantage of the 3-on-2 situation that they are almost certain that they're in, as Status Baked once again stealing away the jungle from Von C.
And now Best Chuck is on the retreat. Here comes Status Baked. Easy kill, 5-0. Flash X is going to have to be running out of this one, and Von C just doesn't really seem to know what he wants to do here. Does he want to farm? Does he want to fight? It's a mishmash of everything, and 0-3-0 and only 30 farm. Vonsi's getting the worst end of these trades.
Yeah, absolutely getting the worst end. Like you mentioned, 0-3-0 and behind in farm by almost 20 at this point. Status Baked is controlling the jungle, and that is allowing Phoenix Rain to control the entire tempo of the game. They are fighting on their terms. They're able to they let the lane push up as Lyra rotates down into the jungle, clears out some of her own the Phoenix Rain jungle, because Status Baked is getting so much done in the TSM jungle. Speaking of, another kill for Status Baked, and a lot of these have been solo kills too.
Christened that new Sorrow Blade with the blood of Saw, and now just stealing out that farm. And Vonsi just continues to kind of nosedive here. Chuck in the lane is getting bullied. He's at 94 farm to the 99 of Old School, but it is continuously being pushed up and up and up against him, and that is leaving a lot of freedom here for Phoenix Rain to rotate, to get down vision, for Status Baked to dominate these jungles. They're getting a gold mine here at the 9-minute mark, so that's going to be another boost in their coffers, but it is just going all wrong here for TSM this early game.
Yeah, absolutely. 6 kills now given up in the first 10 minutes. That gold lead has jumped up to 3,000, and now they may want some more. They are thankfully able to be underneath their turret. As Old School with a little bit of a dance there using the portals.
That is phenomenal. He was able to portal out before we had the Quibbles come down, and I mean, Flash is not going to have that stun ready for at least another level, but those reflexes, man, those reflexes.
Yeah, very, very fast fingers from Old School. But now they may have a fight going in their favor, because Status Baked is still on the other side of the jungle, but now he's going to be coming back up. This looks familiar.
Yeah, Best Chuck is now out of the game. That's another kill. Status Baked holding 5-0 in one of the 7. He's going to get as much damage as he can here on top of a Flash, but he's not going to be sticking around, because if he gets too low, once he's going to execute him with the help of that turret. So again, pushing up lane, Rain keeping the onus on top of TSM. They cannot leave this turret, and that is leaving more and more farm to Status Baked to get just funneled into this Taka. Vonsi, just no chance. Status Baked is way too powerful.
Yeah, getting dove underneath the turret. There's just nothing that they can do right from that. They really didn't have a choice. It was just an easy kill picked up, able to dive in, get the kill, get out, and now it looks like they want to do it again.
And Old School is just kind of trading blows here with the turret. He's trying to throw down those books with bombs, and it's gonna keep them again clamped to this lane. There's no expansion into the jungle. We do actually have one scout trap by the back, so that Vonsi can just watch when Status Baked takes them, I guess. But 8-0, we went from an almost perfect TSM game now to the reverse of that, and that's been kind of the roller coaster of today, Bacon. We've seen dominant games to reverse dominance to game 3s where it's anybody's game, but it has been dominant.
Yeah, absolutely dominant. The Status Baked Taka is just causing havoc in the jungle. I think the saw pick just really not working out for Vonsi, and now it's going to be that armor pierce getting picked up, and likely going to be the bone saw for Status Baked. I mean, Old School we just saw him not too long ago pick up that broken myth, and once he gets an Eve of Harvest, it's going to be almost impossible to take him down. A 3-item Lyra that can then just build defense for her last couple item slots is just so difficult to lock down. She's so mobile and has so much damage and healing. It is just a mess to try and deal with.
And another decent gold payout on top of that as well. That makes a 5,000 difference between these teams. All right, hook. Status Baked, though, a little bit too quick on his feet. Does not get stunned up by Flash, and now without that hook, we are once again just pushing in and in. Does Flash have that contraption 3 for 3? He does. We are starting to see more and more of these traps coming out, but it feels just so late to start really looking to dominate on top of the vision.
Well, I think a lot of it is, again, just to try and keep this Taka in check a little bit, just so that they know where he is in these fights. They get a lot of damage onto Old School, but they are just afraid of engaging now, because it's happened too many times where they tried to chase a kill, had to retreat, and then Status Baked comes up from behind. This time Flash X is waiting for him, but he has almost no damage dealt to him, and Status Baked, he's just going right underneath the turret without a care.
Splash just a second too late on the trigger. Almost brought Status Bake back onto the turret, but not entirely convinced it would have been a kill. Now Von C can show that he can do some damage. That spin up is a little bit too deadly for my taste, but at the same time, if there's no follow-up, that's all it's going to be. Just an annoyance and something to kind of pass the time. If you can't get these kills, Old School is just going to heal himself up.
And the other thing about this Crystal Saw is it's also a Crystal Vox. So double crystal, we've seen plenty of double weapon compositions. This is our first double crystal that we've had here in the summer season, and it has just not been working out. The defensive items are in the inventories. I mean, Ezodoc's more than happy to build just a whole mess of shield, and that's exactly what's been happening thus far.
Yep. So double crystal, I mean, it's a variable win rate. I can't actually say it's overwhelmingly positive or popular these days, but I mean, kudos for the attempt. TSM, they could still, you know, somehow, if they hit some kind of checkpoint in this build, maybe they're gonna explode. Old School, for example, oh, the reflex flux denies. Ezodox comes in for the shield on top, and we're going right back to square one.
That was one attack with the bonus attack from Lyra that just chunked out Von C of a little over a fifth of his health, just from a single one. And then it's going to be the gold mine going over right before the Kraken spawns. Literally the last possible second for a 171 gold payout.
171, hey man, it's better than 0 at this point, because you multiply that by 3, everyone goes home happy. 31,000 gold in 15 minutes. We have set quite the pace here from Rain, and now sitting at 6,000 plus. It feels like if they can kill Von C, then they just take a Kraken. If they can kill anybody,
I was gonna say, are they gonna really go for the Kraken right here? They probably could have. That's the sad part. No one from TSM really looked like they were even making a move down to try and check that. But Phoenix Rain do back off, as they still haven't even taken a turret. That's kind of the really surprising part. They've got this 8-kill lead, a huge gold advantage. All turrets are still up on the fold.
Swing and a miss. Yeah, that anchored down. Look at Von C. That's the portal. Portal is going to be good, and that is a very dead Von C. As I said, if you can get one kill, there goes that turret on top of it. Now, where is Best Chuck going? He's going to have the silence, but can he 2v1? He's trying his best. He's getting some damage on top of Bake, but he can't land on top of Ezodox. There's just too much shield. And that's going to be a kill and a ridiculous spree coming up for the Taka, and that leaves Flash X just all by his lonesome back here at this turret. Are they going to go for this? Status Baked has that Kaku ready to go.
They have a minion coming in, but looks like Old School really wants this. Going in deep, Old School's going to get it, and they are able to get out. They don't quite get the ace, and Von C is back. Von C gets Team Solomid on the board with a single kill, just from a little bit of over-aggression out of Old School. But, I mean, losing the perfect game, but they have that turret now.
He definitely went deep. I mean, getting that kill, I mean, they might have been looking for the ace. Forgot that Von C died just so early. Now they're not going to be in position here for the Kraken, because they are missing the good chunk of their damage with Old School. But look at how powerful those cannon shots are, right? You just keep that movement speed up. A big time weakness of a Finn into a Lyra is that she can chase you down, and those shots start to hurt after a while.
Yeah, especially, again, with the Broken Myth, Alternating Current, and Eve of Harvest. That is the carry Crystal Lyra build to go for. Just stacking shield after the fact now so that she takes as little damage as possible from both Best Chuck and Von C. I also really like what Phoenix Rain did there. Status Baked and Ezodox, when they were 2v1ing Best Chuck NA, they split away from each other so that those resonance bounces weren't able to do anything. Best Chuck NA just doesn't have single target damage enough on a Crystal Vox, and now Kraken is going to be captured by Team Phoenix. There's no contest in sight from Team Solo Mid. That is a Kraken going over essentially for free with infusions up for Phoenix. They could look to try and give TSM the TSM special.
All right. I mean, this is match point as well. I think you said that if Phoenix Rain win, it's a Rain versus Reborn Sunday matchup. And TSM, I mean, they did get 1 win, so they get 1 point here in the Evil 8, but it is definitely looking dire. That Kraken is coming through, and Old School is just tearing apart the defense.
Yeah, Flash X doing what he can, putting down as many scout jumps as possible,
Look.
trying to lay this. A nice pull, but immediately Old School teleports out.
That portal is so useful, especially with the reflexes of these guys. Status Fakes has gone deep looking for some damage, but it's actually Ezadok's taking the brunt of the return. Now we still have this Kraken ready to go, and it is Mal going to be moving forward as best as it can. This is the last-ditch defense. As TSM die, that's it, Bacon.
And this is the final fight coming in. Here goes Rain. They want this.
Yeah, Von C is just so low. He gets just singled out. Status Faked is putting his emphasis on top of these turrets. That's how you get there into these Game 3 situation. But the box is now eliminated. Flash X just does not have too much to do. Von C gets 1. He's spinning up. He's looking for the shank. Can he pick up Old School? 700 damage doesn't matter. He had the Aegis ready. And that, as they say, is that. It's been a heck of a journey today for the Evil 8. But we have our winners for this round. It will be Phoenix Rain. Ugh.
Yeah, Phoenix Rain securing the victory over Team Solo Mid. The new look Team Solo Mid, unable to pull off the series victory. As you mentioned, though, they did get at least 1 victory, so they have that point going into the next week of the Evil 8. So every point is so important. You can only get 8 points in a week. So it's really important to have that single point gained, even if you lose in the first round. But Phoenix Rain, after game 1, incredibly close, back and forth, couldn't really tell who was going to win. Game 2, Team Solo Mid just dominates. And now game 3, Phoenix Rain, they came out of the gate strong. Status Baked completely took over the jungle. Look at those farm numbers, 101 and 201 for Status Baked and Old School. Just complete control over the fold.
Well, Bacon, 8 hours done and dusted, 8 different matchups across EU and NA. Congratulations to all the winners here. It's been a heck of a journey, and I cannot wait to see what the competition brings us tomorrow. To set that all up, guys, once more, it's back to our dynamic duo, Action Jackson and Humanist.
Wow, what a performance from Phoenix Rain in that final game of the day. They really showed some props there. I have to admit, I was a little bit surprised it worked so well. I was expecting a closer game for Game 3.
I was expecting a closer game, but once we saw the draft, I was kind of like, TSM? Like,
The Saw
I
was an
don't think the
interesting one.
Saw... You know, I'd love to talk with Flash later about this, or anyone from TSM that would like to talk about it, but what were you going to do at any point up against Ataka in the jungle as a Crystal Saw? It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, it actually didn't matter. The only way, and I talked to you about while the game was going on, is, you know, you have this Crystal Vox, right? So you're going to get into these team fights, and a lot of time, well, Vox has a hard time finishing the kill, but he can get 3 heroes kind of low all at the same time. Then maybe your Crystal Saw comes in to just execute the key target that they see as the biggest threat. But that scene it never developed for them.
I think they needed a bit of a better early game. But guys, our MVP for the series is going to be... who's it going to be?
Well,
It's going to be Best Chuck NA. It's going to be Best Chuck NA. He really had an extremely strong performance in Game 1 and 2. Obviously, TSM came out on the back foot overall in the series, but I have to admit, I think he's the one that really kept them in it. Even in Game 3, he was only 20 CS behind, which, considering the circumstances, is actually quite impressive. And he had that incredible 3v1, 1v3 rather. Really, really strong stuff.
I think, and you know, while we're talking about Best Chuck, and he's going to get the MVP on this series, even though losing the series, it speaks a lot to him as a player. And when I talked with a few captains and players as well, they said, keep your eye on Best Chuck this season. This could be his breakout season where he just explodes onto the scene and really has an opportunity to shine. So I expect great things out of him moving forward.
All right, absolutely. So let's quickly take a look at the brackets before we sign off for tonight so we can see what semifinals matchups we have for tomorrow. Velocity versus Sweet and Sour, that one was worked out a little bit earlier, but the Phoenix versus Phoenix match is going to be happening in the semifinals tomorrow.
That's going to be
versus
hot.
Rain. That's going to be very hot. Phoenixes are on fire, man.
They are, so I said hot.
All right, so very strong stuff. Now let's actually take a look at the points across the board. We've got both NA and EU here. Leading the pack are Mouse Sports, Team Secret, Snow Tsunami, Gangstar, Cerberus for EU, and Velocity, Sweet and Sour, Reborn, and Rain for the side of NA. Obviously, every team which won today did get 2 points, so they're in a good spot. But the more important thing to look at here is the big losers versus the people who are in the middle of the pack, right? Because getting 1 point versus getting 0 could be extremely important moving forwards.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's all about staying out of the bottom 3. Of course, you want to be number 1. You want to be in that top 5, but stay out of the bottom 3. You're not going to get challenged moving forward. So every single point that you can get moving forward does matter significantly.
All right, well, today has been an incredible set of games. I've had a very good time hosting for it. We are going to do one more quick giveaway. Type hashtag Amazon Coins in the chat for your chance to win 500 ice. There will be 3 lucky winners. Earlier on, we had Colossus 54, Fjert 20, maybe, and Striker 9 million winning. So
Striker
good job
9
for
million.
those guys.
Man,
9 million.
I know Striker 900,000, not 9 million, though. I haven't met that guy.
In any case, it's been awesome here for our first day of the Evil 8. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. PDT or 4 p.m. GMT, we're going to have the semifinals, third place match, and the finals for the first week of the Evil 8. So you don't want to miss these games. They're going to be very intense. All the best teams from today will be competing tomorrow, and I can't wait to see you there. It's been awesome. Let's catch you guys tomorrow.
This is an Amazon coin, and it's the start of something big. Did you know that Amazon coins can get you games, apps, and in-app items at super discounts every day of the year? Amazon coins. Save big and play on. Amazon coins can be used in games and apps from the Amazon Underground app on Android devices and Amazon App Store on Fire tablets and Fire TV.
The saga begins. Begin war. Saga begins.